Afraid, emotions getting in your way. Afraid, but why you let me fall in love if you're afraid to commit? And don't call me in the middle of the night and say that you're not able to be loved. That's not right. No, I don't wanna be that one. Still a million miles from you. So I'm gonna let you go. Oh boy, if you only knew. Not a day goes by without you on my mind. You couldn't go on together. You said nothing lasts forever. Though you can't deny, hold it all inside. No, you can trust me, just close your eyes, knowing that I'm around. I'll be around, yeah. You're not scared of love, just scared of love. Alright, enough. Just tell me if you want my love or not. 'Cause I don't wanna be that one. Still a million miles from you, yeah. So I'm gonna let you go. Oh boy, if you only knew. Not a day goes by without you on my mind. You couldn't go on together. You said nothing lasts forever. Though you can't deny, hold it all.
Let's try it with the microphone on this time. All right, so good afternoon. Welcome back, everybody. Here's what we got going on. S&P 500 is up 37 points. The NASDAQ Composite is up 63 points, 63 points. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up well above 500. We're up 520 points to 32,353. So looking pretty good there. A nice green day again in the market, so hopefully you're getting some green. I know I am. I was up almost 10,000, I think. Yeah, I was up $10,000, and now with the pullback off the highs, mainly in tech, still having a green day. I'm up about $1,700 or so, right around there. We'll take a look at the heat map and see what we have going on there. And of course, one of the things that we have going forward is after the close, we'll get the numbers on AMC, and those earnings numbers will be coming out again after the close today. Not looking for any good news as far as them hitting the number, or even if they miss the number. They're forecasted to, let's see here. They're forecasted for a loss of 324. They had a loss of 841 last time they reported. So those will be today, but a lot of volume on AMC today. Ton of volume. The thing was up, the thing was down, it was back up again, now it's down again. Same thing with GME. But right now it is holding, but look at the volume. So $10.20. So it is down 30 cents on the day. However, 227 million shares traded on an average of $184 million float. So looks like more sellers today. It did slam down big time. Let me show you where. Big time from 12.18 down to 10.22. So $2 drop, basically a 20% drop off of its high on the day. I think somewhere around there. Let's see. Where did it go down to here? If I can find the wick. 22% drop off its high, and down 3% right now. So definitely volatility in there coming into play on GameStops. They're still up on the day, but they had a bigger slam, I think. Let's see where they were at. Yeah, they were down 50%. So off of their high on the day, they got all the way up to 348. The Reddit groups were going crazy. They were talking about, oh, thanks for coming to get me and all this stuff, and we're holding and all this stuff, and no. When it ran up to 348, which is where the high on this thing was 483, people that claimed that were still in at above $300, they immediately sold. And so so they took their profits here a little bit, and then boom, right back down to the 269 level within 10 minutes. 20 minutes later, the stock was down 50%. So definitely interesting there. We do have some COVID news. The House of Representatives passed their version of the bill today. There are about 12 million people that are not getting checks that got them last time. That is a lot. 12 divided into 330. So 4% of the population that got a stimulus check the last time is not getting one this time. And it is only for people making $75,000 a year or less if you're head of household or single. And if you are married, then you can take that income up to $150,000 a year joint, and that will get you the $400 stimulus check. And I'm not getting this one either, so go figure. But don't care. Well, I do care a little bit, but because it's not right the way they're doing it. But because everybody's gonna have to pay that money back. So those that got that money, congratulations. I'll be paying my taxes to pay that back, even though I'm not getting diddly on it. So GameStop is up 11.58. It's just jumping between $1.50. Wow, 10.29, 257. Watch this, right back up to 258. Crazy. 257. Doesn't know what it wants to do here. Okay. Looking at a sector map again, everything is up in the green. We have the Dow up over 500 points, the Nasdaq up 40 points, with select companies participating in that, but not a lot. And the S&P up 33. Let's go to the heat map, and you'll see you do have some red in Microsoft and Apple, Google barely holding on to gains, Nvidia barely holding on to that 500, but still in the green on the day. AMD is going down. AMD is interesting. They have a conference this coming weekend, and just like earnings, if you want to buy it and hold it for a couple days, maybe as a quick swing trade, you might get something on a run up, but I would not hold that for their conference because I love their CEO. She does a fantastic job, but she talks absolutely in monotone and does not know how to smile and get excited about her company's results, which have been fantastic. So that should be a $100 stock if they had a more socially interactive, if the management of the company came out and really talked about how good they were doing to the upside with a little bit of excitement versus this straight all business monotone that they speak in, which doesn't bode well for them. Contrast that with Elon Musk, and we're back up to $680 a share for Elon at Tesla. Oh, AMD, what could it possibly go up to? Well, it's at 78. You might get a couple dollars out of it. If you're lucky, maybe 83, 83.50, somewhere around there. We could look at a chart, AMD, and let me take it out to a 15 minute, sorry. Let me take it out to a 15 minute and say, well, you got pivots. Yeah, the last pivot is at 80. Let me go 1 hour. 80, 35, 81, back on the 4th last Thursday. Failing support levels, failing support levels. Back up to the same resistance at the $79 or so, or $80. So might bounce back up to there, but nowhere is it coming into the 50 and 200 period average on the 1 hour chart. It is trading above VWAP right now, so that doesn't bode well for the stock either. Blue has crossed the red. Might see some continued downside here as the Nasdaq and the S&P pull down on the day, and the VIX is taking a rise here. So definitely be careful here towards the end of the day. It is power hour. So let's take a look at some of the things that we follow on this channel. Some of the things that we like. Ford having another good day here, up 35 cents, and just broke the 50 and 200 average on the 30-second chart. Nothing to get excited about, right? But definitely good there. US oil, they had a little bit of a pullback, and I made some room for some money. I'll talk about that in a moment. I did take a little bit of profit and sold a few shares on this so that I could buy some more shares of AMC calls. And so the AMC calls I bought were basically the April 16th. I bought 5 calls for the $8 strike price. So that's what I was looking at there. And actually, let's see here. What is this one at? Let's see if it allows me to. And let's see. It's going to watch this for a little bit here. But Rocket, let's take a look here. Buy signal on them, and they've been steadily going down all afternoon from 27.47 down to 25.95. That is a big drop for them, couple dollars. So not everything is up on the day. So we have quite a few stuff basically turning excuse me, turning red on the day. Microsoft, Apple, Tesla barely holding on to its gains. Energy is doing pretty well still. Down here you have ExxonMobil up 2.7%, and Chevron up 1.91%. Some of the other ones, the oil and gas, the FANG, not into that one myself. Financials are doing well. Disney's doing well. Comcast, all those are. Netflix are all up a little bit. Airlines are all up again. Boeing is a good story today. Take a look at that one. One of my favorite companies. Just really super run today. $14 a share, up almost 6%. They've been running up pretty much all week. From where'd we go? March 4th. Here we go. So since the 5th, they've been on a very nice run on Boeing. So definitely a great stock, pays a dividend. 737 MAX is back. Having some problems with the 787. They moved all their production down to South Carolina. And the 777, the older ones, I think the 200 series are having some problems as well. So like anything, but Airbus is having their problems too. So, okay, so AMC, a significant pullback here below 10, back to 9.85. So maybe those folks that have calls for $10 on Friday might be setting up for that. There was some talk about the amount of short interest, and they have to cover their shares by the end of today, or possibly by Friday, or possibly by next week, and they don't tell you what the numbers are. The government specifically allows these people to withhold information, but if you put in a limit order and you say, hey, I have 500 shares of AMC, and I'm going to put that limit order in at $15, and those hedge funds look at that and they say, oh, look, this idiot has a sell order at 15. Let's drive it down. Let's short the stock. Let's see how many options are set to expire at 10. Let's drive the price below 10, and let's hold it down, and let's take their money. This is what they do. But they don't disclose what their positions are. They only report the short interest twice a freaking month. So twice a month, they report the short interest. But if you put in a limit order, or you put in a stop limit order, or you put in a trailing stop order, that's all visible. They can look at that anytime they want. So definitely a turn here for the worst on the market here, as we're starting to possibly struggle with some red territory. S&P is only up 33, and the NASDAQ is only up 41. The Dow, again, looking very good for industrials and some of the retailers, and some of the energy stocks are looking very good. And what is this song? That is goofy. Let's try this one. All right, get rid of that song. All right, let's take a look at, I want to take a look at, where are we at here? Tesla. I want to take a look at Tesla. And we'll watch this for a minute here. And you see the VIX is starting to turn to go up again, so the S&P 500 is going down. And that means I'm still, let's see. Still up on the day, but barely. Yeah, I'm up like $370 on the day. So definitely turning into a negative day for me. This thing just, I should have acted earlier. So I missed the boat on Rocket. I should have sold my shares earlier today, and I screwed up. And so about $280. I'm still profitable on it. I'm up a couple $100 plus the dividend that I qualify for. So walking away with a little over $1,000 on Rocket for a 5-day hold. So that will get me right into, hold on here. My buy 6203. 16% gain. So I made 16% on Rocket in 5 days if I sell right now. And buy indicator. S&P starting to turn back north again. Let's see if there's any news on anything else additional. Daily roundup of key economic data. 0.4% increase in February CPI. Consumer prices right on expectations. Energy prices rose 3.9% last month. We've been talking about that all month long here on the channel. Continuing a recent string of large gains as expected. Gasoline prices rose 6.4%. Sorry about that. Without the energy price surge, CPI would have been up only 0.1%. Food prices rose 0.2%. So inflation starting to itch its way in. Let's see here. Rents rose 2%. Medical care services rose by 0.5%. Price declines in used vehicles and apparel. Bottom line, inflation pressures remain very tame. Gasoline stocks fell by 11.9 million barrels in the week. That's good news. That means they'll need to produce more, so price will go up. And then the T-bills. So interesting. So here's a good question. The House passed the bill today. Why is the president waiting until Friday to sign it? Why can't he sign it right now? Why can't they walk that bill across the back lawn or the front lawn, whatever it is, march over to the White House, knock on the door and say, hey, we're here. Here's your bill. Please sign it so we can get this money out to people that need it. Because it's not about the money. It's about the politics. That's why. And they don't want you to put it into GameStop and AMC. Because they're on the side of the hedge funds. You can bet your dollar on that. So GameStop holding on to its gains, a little bit up 4%. AMC rebounded a little bit. Oh, I should have made that little other buy I was going to do. So hopefully we're getting a little recovery here. So we got about 40 minutes before the close. And well, that sounds almost like Star Wars. Let me turn off my phone here. Put it on silent. Okay, so bouncing back up here a little bit, which is good. Come on, S&P, you can do it. Silver up 25 cents. Platinum is up $36 an ounce. Let's look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. Again, I keep talking about the story. So Bitcoin is at 56,386, but over the last year, it's up 520%. Watch this. Over the last year, Ethereum is up 700%. So definitely outperforming. Year to date, Ethereum up 146. I think they've got us beat year to date. No, only 94% year to date for Bitcoin. So when you can buy fractional shares of those, you don't have to buy one whole Bitcoin. You can buy 0.001. You can say, hey, I have $1,000 to put into it. How much Bitcoin is that going to get me? Take $1,000, divide it into 56,440, and that's going to get you 0.02. So you'll own 0.02 right around there of Bitcoin. Where Ethereum, you can own a whole Ethereum if you want. $1,800, not much. S&P. Roblox came to market. I did not get into this IPO. The volume just died. Look at this from a volume standpoint. Big time. And then it's just off the cliff. So hopefully you did not buy this thing at 74.83 and you're not down 7% or so right now. Let's see, 74.83. Oops, not so. Yeah, 74.83. 70.74 divided by 74.83. If you bought the high, you're down 4% or 5%. Then flattened out and equal amount of sellers and buyers. Again, there's no lockups. These people, these employees, they can sell this thing anytime. And it appears that some of them are doing it. And then the silly money's trying to participate in it because it's a DPO. It is a DPO, a directed offering. It is not an IPO. And there are some differences between that. All right, S&P 500 heat map. See some greens, entertainment. So Roblox did not participate in that one. I'm not interested in it. All right, we got the S&P turning up here, and again, we got after hours. We'll stick around and see if they report it. There's a conference call for AMC shareholders. Let's go to AMC Entertainment. Let's see, AMC Entertainment. Investor relations. And that should get us to a quick link. Corporate profile. Nope, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. Corporate information. AMC Theaters. Here we go. All right. Gift card, Showtime, C movie. Oh, I like that. Let's show you the. I'm blocking that. I don't want them getting my stuff. Oh, here we go. Boom. Investor relations. This will give us our stock price. Here we go. Webcast at 5 o'clock Eastern. So 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, they will do their quarter and year-end 2020 conference call. And what'll be really interesting is to talk about all the differences or all the remodeling they did of their theaters. We'll talk about the unprofitable theaters, hopefully that they closed during the pandemic, and we'll talk about what they see going forward. I know the CEO's been on Fox Business on Monday. He was on CNBC on Friday and talking about of what they have going on. I don't know, 1,000 theaters, 11,000 screens. So let's take a look here. If we click on a webcast, I wonder if it's going to make me register or not. Join the webcast. Okay. Looks like no. Oh, you got to register. Okay, so hold on here. Hey, come here. There we go. Okay, so let me click out of that. And we'll leave that up and close that one down. And so if you do want the webcast, I'll be streaming it. Some of the things, by the way, usually they'll ask for your first name, your last name, your email address, and then they'll put company down. And of course, you can just put in there investor, or you can put in shareholder. I'm a shareholder. I have options in the stock. And let's see if this works.
Greetings and welcome to the AMC Entertainment third quarter 2020 earnings conference call.
That's not the one I want. So it brought me into the 2020 conference call. That's not good. I'm gonna leave that open and see if I can do a refresh on it at 2 o'clock and see if that works. Did you? All right. So again, you can get in on the webcast at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, if you like. So we have about a half an hour to go here in Power Hour. S&P turning south, VIX turning up. You can see on the bottom the S&P going down, the VIX volatility index going up. I did see something interesting as far as fear and greed on CNN. Apparently, they have a whole site with a fear. Make this a little bit bigger for y'all. A fear and greed index. It says what emotion is driving the market right now. Neutral, 52%. A year ago, extreme fear. A month ago, greed. A week ago, neutral. Previous close, neutral. It's not a stock. You can't buy it. They talk about yield friends. They talk about trending tickers off of stock twits. Yeah, Gilead. Why is Gilead up there? GILD. Like virus stocks. Daily. What the heck? Yeah, it's just and on a little bit of a rise here. And this is. I'm not digging this music. Hold on. Yeah, we'll try this. All right. So I don't know why they're big on Gilead here. Apple, Texas Instruments, on just a bunch of boring stuff. Stock price strength. All right, I have a question in chat. Let me go over to it because they're looking at GME. So we'll take a look at GME right now. Will it? The question they asked is, will GME go up anymore today? You can certainly take a look at that. So looking at GME again, they're going to come out with earnings, I think, on March 13th, March 23rd. So GME is set to report earnings on March 23rd. A huge amount of volatility today in the stock. We had a huge downswing right about big time sell-off. Now, could this have been short positions covering? Well, it got up to 348. So there was a lot of stuff on Reddit, and they were talking about, hey, thanks for coming to get me for those that bought above 300. And then as soon as it hit 300, people started looking at it, and the very first time it dipped, the very first candle that this thing dipped, started a big time sell-off, and the thing went down about 50%. So still up on the day, so it's still 817 up. It looks like it's going to consolidate here. We've got the S&P, we've got the NASDAQ giving up all of its gains now. The NASDAQ is only up 12 points on the day. S&P 500 is up 29 points on the day. But I think that if you look, and thanks for the question as well. If you take a look at what GameStop is doing on the day, even the 30-second, it's in this consolidation phase. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So 256, if we see something today, really doesn't matter. There is no news on GameStop at all. There is no information that would lead it other than hedge funds covering short positions. That could have been what drove the price up. But GameStop finds the top and jumps the cliff. No, it did not jump the cliff. If you bought this thing at 348.50, and bought the high, shame on you. You bought into it, something called FOMO, fear of missing out. If you picked it up on the bottom, 174 or 172, the low on the day, congratulations, you made about 40%. So it's hovering at this 250 level. It doesn't need to go any higher today. The fact that it's up 3%, be grateful if you're holding it. If you think that, is it done yet? Probably not. If we take a look at, I can take a look at the options data for Friday here. Let me go into the stock. 12:31. So we have another half hour before the market closes. So taking a look at GameStop, and let me go into my options, and I'm going to look at the calls, and I'm going to look at the calls not in April, but for this coming Friday, and I'm going to look at the ones right around the money. And looking at these, actually the out of the money calls. Out of the money calls, you have 27,000 contracts at 300. So 27,000 contracts at 300. Let's look at the in the money. And let's see the 200s. You only have 2,200 contracts at 200. So, or I'm sorry, that was volume. Let me go back to this again. Hold on a second. I may have misspoke. So if we look at the out of the monies and we look at the volume today at $300, you had 27. There's only 7,000 contracts left at the $300 strike price for expiration Friday on GameStop. You had volume today of 27,414 contracts today. So 27,414. Here we go. 27,414 times 100 shares. That was the right to exercise 2.7 million shares. Now this has had a big run today as far as volume goes. It's traded 67 million shares based on an average volume of 49 million shares on the day is normally what it does. Now you're getting a little bit of a run here towards the end of the day. It's interesting because the volatility is going up, the S&P is going down, yet GameStop is going up. So it's now up 8%, so it is starting to get a run. Again, it's not necessary to go on a run. AMC, let's see if it's following. It's following a little bit. So where it could go if we take this out, let me look at the 15-minute chart. It's really difficult to try and find support and resistance on this thing at these prices. So you have you might see some resistance up around really right where it's at. It could pop as high as 287 or 295. That would be kind of where it might settle into if it continues on this run. But the initial resistance may come in pretty much right where it's at right now at this 268 level. Take another look at the 30-second chart. And let me take a look at the 3-minute. So we are on the 3-minute. I look for buys and sells indicators. We're right above the VWAP now. So now it's decision time. It needs to decide, are there going to be more buyers than sellers? This would lend us to believe on this chart that you've got more sellers in here than you do have buyers. The volume is low for these buys, taking it up to 267. So that might not be really, really good news for the stock. And it might struggle here a little bit. On the 30-second chart, yeah, that volume looks good. But again, you got to look out further to say, hey, the last time it sold off, over here, what was the volume look like, and what are we at with volume right here? So it is interesting to see if that's going to continue from that end of it. But we can watch for just a little bit here. 30-second chart, and you can see, yeah, it's kind of hitting the wall there. But again, the Nasdaq now, the Nasdaq Composite is now red on the day. That is turned. And what you're going to see is this will go a little bit duller, but in about 10 minutes, a lot of this is going to be red, dull, because the Nasdaq just took a turn. So looking at the Nasdaq, we've got definitely on a downturn. You take it out to 5 minutes. Just a steady decline off the highs of the day here. Just falling off. So, and this thing was up pretty good earlier today. And so S&P 500. That's up 25 points still, holding on to that. NASDAQ just went green again by 3 points. And the Dow Jones. Again, these are all live quotes. These are not delayed quotes. The only thing delayed that I have that I'll show you from time to time is going to be the S&P 500 heat map. And this is delayed by 15 minutes, broken down by sector with what they're doing on the day. So you have, energy's doing pretty good today. You have Home Depot, Lowe's up today. Tesla still holding on to a gain. Amazon, Facebook, Google down. Microsoft down. Apple down. Nvidia still holding on to gains. Intel barely a gain there. AMD down. Micron down. Broadcom down. So Micron down almost 4%. So Nvidia holding on to that magic 500. That's going to be big for them on Friday, I think, is that $500 level. And I have options on Nvidia going out to next week at 540 calls. So definitely out of the money for right now. So GameStop, again, it's continuing its little rise up here. Let me go back to the 30-second chart. Or I'm sorry, 3-minute. So from a buy standpoint, on a 3-minute, it's just about to hit if it breaks above this VWAP, it's going to keep going up into the 280s. But it's got to get up to this 279 level, and we can see if it pushes that. That's on the 3-minute chart. The blue is above the red, which is good. So those signals, so that means I should have, if I was buying it, you could act on that signal there. On the 30-second chart, yeah, it was looking at 256 or so would have been the buy, and that would have been about 6 minutes ago. So 6 minutes ago, took this little mini run here from 257 up to 271. So about a 5% turn to the positive, but not looking great here. Still deciding what it wants to do. 269, 270. It's got to break above that 275 or so, which it's not doing. S&P's starting to come back a little bit. NASDAQ's starting to come back. Scotia, just a tiny piece. The NASDAQ is up 1688, 16.46 right now. S&P is up 27 points, and the Dow is up 481 points. So still a green day overall. And I wanted to look at something here. That's not looking good. 995 on AMC. All right, hold on a second, because I got to look at some. I want to look at some calls here. And I'm looking at the April 16th. Looking at the in-the-money calls. That's what I paid for those things earlier. 30. Okay. And again, AMC is going to be reporting earnings after the close today. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I need to exit a position on one and take some profit. And I'm going to take some profit on Rocket. I should have sold these earlier. I tried to, and it wouldn't fill my order. So still making a profit. Small one about, well, it's going up. Hold on a second. We got about 20 minutes left in the market. Nice buy signal there. So 2604. S&P is holding. NASDAQ is up 15 points. S&P is up 26 points. Dow's up 475. And so what I want to do is I want to get some more. Okay, maybe we'll wait on that one. But taking a look at Rocket here. It's heading up. I just discovered this one, this fear and greed CNN thing. I think it's a lagging indicator. I think they'll go in, they'll change the numbers when something bad happens, and they'll say, oh, we were negative on it. I doubt it's going to be legitimate. Okay, let's see if I can get up to $300 gain on this Rocket. Put in an order. Where are we at here? 2593. 2596, 2595. Let's get back up over to 26. All right, so Nvidia is up $1.58. So Dow Jones up 491, NASDAQ up 30.84, S&P up 29 is where we're at on those. And we're just watching Rocket here while it decides what it wants to do. Let me look at the 3-minute chart, confirm my rules. My rules say as it comes up here, maybe sell. Look, the red's crossing the green right there, or the red's crossing the blue right there. Back to the 30-second, so that means it's going to start heading south again, which it is. 25.91. but let's see if we can get it back. So it's fighting a little battle here. So at in another 7 minutes, in 7 minutes time, at 10 minutes before close, we're going to get what's called the buy imbalance shares. And that's going to tell us that if people are trying to buy the stock and there's not enough shares to go around, it could have an imbalance on the buy side versus the sell side, and we'll get those imbalances. And we had imbalances yesterday. And sorry if there's background noise. I believe that is a street sweeper. It is. The street sweepers decide to come by during my stream. Thanks, guys. That's good though. The city is actually cleaning the streets, so I kind of like that. So again, we're right. Called this right now, starting to head down again. I think I'm gonna take my $250. Let's see. What's it want to do? What's it want to do? Let's go back to GameStop. Again, it could not hold that 270 level. So now it's just basically in a parking phase. And let's see the 3 minute. Let me get that door. They're out front and I got the window open. All right. So okay, now we're getting somewhere. 270, and this is on the 3 minutes. So again, it's got to break this line, this 278, 280 line, if it's gonna go up any further today. So if it bounces off that line on the 3 minute, that might mean something. Again, S&P is starting to trail a little bit, but still up on the day. So S&P is up 27 points. NASDAQ is up 11 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is still up 484 points. And so remember we talked about that 15-minute delay. Watch, see if these colors change. Boom, there you go. So a little darker on the reds, I think. So the reds will always be they're negative, and as it gets closer to being almost zero, it'll be a dull gray, like a gray greenish, but still green, but a little bit on the gray side. Just like Nvidia, it's barely up, 75 cents on the day or so, or $500.75. Adobe is up. Oracle is going to report their earnings after the close. They're down right now. So we've got a little bit of a battle here to see where we're going to end up on the day. So again, GME, GameStop cannot break this 270 level. On this 3 minute, and I'll decide. I've got anywhere from 1 second, 5 second, 15 second, 30 second. I can watch a chart for every 15 seconds and it'll tell me what it's going to do. I can go down to the 1 second and watch bar by bar and see what it's doing, but that isn't very helpful at all as far as trading goes, because you can't react that quick. You're fighting algorithms, but you certainly can on the 3 minute chart. And it's got to break this line up here, which it's struggling to. And we'll get the buy imbalances shortly. We'll get those. And see Tesla down on the day now, negative 378. These things were up huge earlier. Nvidia is still holding on to its gains, up $1.76. So just a tad to the upside today for them. Take a quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin 56,191, up 1,200 points or so. Ethereum down 69 points again, but it's got real good support at this $1,800 level. Last time I made a buy on Ethereum was at 1450. And actually, the last time I bought Bitcoin, I can tell you, hold on. So I can look up on here and pull up my app. And I think my last purchase, okay, my last purchase on Bitcoin was when it was at 23,651. So I am up 136% on Bitcoin. Last time, I just bought some more Ethereum at 1450. I bought some more at 1246. And plus I get Ethereum from crypto mining. So good day on Bitcoin and Ethereum today. And again, I'm weighted 85% Ethereum, 15% Bitcoin, and I've been right on that one. Bitcoin is up 517% over the last year. Ethereum is up 696% over the last year. So year to date, Ethereum's up 144%. Year to date, Bitcoin is is up 94%, which is still an absolute home run. All right, so again, the GameStop looks like it doesn't want to climb above this 268 level at all. It's hanging out here, not really doing much of anything there. AMC looking there, and again, things are starting to turn north a little bit on the S&P 500. Take a quick look here. And climbing back here, 49 minutes to the hour. And we will know shortly if there's any buy or sell side imbalances on GameStop. And again, GameStop stopped trading 1, 2, 3, 4 times today based on the swings. And those are 10% swings either up or down. And so it halted trading 4 different times. Contrast that with AMC, which is a better comparison with Cinemark than GameStop, if you ask me. There was no imbalances on that, or I'm sorry, there was no. Hold on a second, because something's coming through. Oh, there we go. Okay, so back to the buy imbalances. So AMC has another buy side imbalance of 66,831 shares. GameStop, no imbalance yet on them. Roblox selling off 68.75, 68.85. Hopefully you didn't buy at 74. If you did, 69 divided into 74.83, you will be down 8%. There you go. Okay, so bear with me a minute here because I think I'm going to take a trade. I'm trying to take a trade on this for the last half hour. 30 seconds. 12:51. And while it's doing that, I want to look at this up here. S&P, again, all 3 indices are in the green. The S&P is up 28 points. NASDAQ is up 18 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 499 points, just about 500 points. Okay. And boy, the S&P just doesn't know what to do here. We're watching Rocket Mortgage here. Okay, GME again. And we can put, looking at the S&P 500 over here. And this is 30-second charts. And this is the VIX, the Volatility Index. That's a little dull. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, let's see here. 7 minutes until close. And a nice buy here. Let's take a look at GME again. So 274. So broke through that 270. Let's go to the 3 minute. Remember, it had hit 278-ish. Yeah, 277. So if it hits 277, we might get another run here on GameStop towards the close here in 7 minutes. So definitely got above, but it's got to break this line on my 3 minute, in my opinion. Don't follow my advice. If you do, you're going to lose all your money. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax consultant. Consult a professional for trading. This is strictly for education and entertainment. I do not own a single share or any options in GameStop. I don't own any. But for those of you that do hold it, you know, if it breaks this, you know, it pulled back on that candle there, and there's a sell. So on the 3 minute, my indicator gave a sell indication right off the bat. Boom, 270 all the way down 262. Just like that, $8 gone. And S&P is pulling back again. Still up 27 on the day. NASDAQ still up 11 points on the day. And taking a look at NVIDIA turned south on the day. Let's see the map. A little bit of red in there now. So, you know, it basically went up to the 3 minute VWAP. And it could change on the way I look at some of these, but it basically, that's called a rejection. So got up to that 278 level. That wick was at 276.48 is where that wick was. And then it, boom, it slammed right back down again. 265. How's that possible? All right, where are we at on AMC? 988, dropping. All right, I gotta. I don't know why it loaded. Oh, because my default is at 500 shares. Come on, there you go. I gotta watch something here. I'm trying to do something, so you'll have to bear with me here. Okay, I just sold my 250 shares of Rocket, and now I think I'm going to do something else. I'll tell you after I do it if it looks attractive. So let's go back over to GME. There we go. And we'll see if I get filled. Got 4 minutes left in the market, and I'm filled. Okay, so I just picked up on this drop here on AMC. I just picked up 10 more calls for April 16th at $8. They're already in the money, and I paid $3.25 for those. So buying 10 of those calls, I now own 15 calls at $8. They're in the money, but I paid a premium to do that. So I bought these I bought 5 earlier at $3.30. I just picked up 10 more at $3.25. So 10 at $3.25. So that was about another $32.50 that I put into it. So again, those are options. They're set to expire on April 16th. I own 30 calls on AMC at $4 to expire next Friday, March 19th. And I just bought, I bought 15 calls today on AMC at $8. So they're already in the money, but I paid a premium for those. So basically in the money at $3.25 plus 8. I need the stock to go up to $11.25 in order to break even. But I've got 38 days to do that. So pull back on AMC, pull back on GME towards the close here. No buy. There's a buy side imbalance of 66,000 shares. on AMC. No buy-side imbalance on GameStop at all. And hold on a second. And whoopsie. Oh, here we go. Oh, what happened there? Okay. And let me, let's see here. Okay. All right. So let's take a quick look here on. There we go. And in my channel. What happened here? Where'd it go? Okay, and the markets are closed. So GameStop looks like it ended up at $265, up $18.10, so up 7% on the day. And we ended up with AMC being down on the day by 65 cents. Up $265 here, up $18.10, so up 7% on the day. And we ended up with. Sorry about that. Had my stream going at the same time. So we'll be getting earnings shortly on AMC. So hopefully we'll be able to get those out and release those to y'all as well. Hold on. Okay. All right, so let's get into this a little bit, and we will wait, and I'm going to have this screen pulled up, and I'm going to go into AMC, and we're going to take a look at what they did today. And again, definitely a good day for AMC, I think, because we still, the 985, there were a lot of short sellers that have to cover this stock. And so I took two opportunities today to pick up some more options on AMC. Again, they're going to be coming out with earnings here right after the close here. They'll release them. The conference call is actually going to be in another hour, and I'll be streaming that as well. So I'll have the webcast on earnings on the conference call, but we should be getting the order shortly on AMC after the close here. So the way the market ended up today, we had the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Nice finish on the day, 463 points up. Had a really nice run. Some financials and banks did very well. Disney, Netflix did well. Google up a little bit. Facebook down. Nvidia held on to its gain about $500. Another good stock I own. Tesla down on the day. Starbucks, Nike down. All the oil and energy. Again, I'm big into energy. I love my oil plays, and those are up pretty good today as well. But Dow Jones Industrial Average up 463 on the day. We had the SPX, if we take a look at the S&P 500, that finished up 2330, and then on the NASDAQ Composite, we ended up down 5 points. But let's get into what happened with GME today. GME had a nice run, did very well, getting all the way up to 348.50 on the high side, then clobbered down all the way. Boy, somebody sold this thing out at 172. Sorry for them. But then buyers came back in. On the 3-minute side, my software did trigger a buy signal right around 249. And then it got up as high as 285, issued a sell signal from there, and slammed back down. Just kind of waffled around. Tried to make a run up north of 270, wasn't able to do it. AMC, definitely something as far as AMC goes. If we take a look at what happened to them on the day, I'm going to go out to the 5-minute chart, and we'll take a look. And this is pre-market over here. Again, aftermarket is open right now, so in the aftermarket on AMC, they're actually up 28 cents to 10.13, and we're still waiting on earnings. So as soon as those earnings come in, I'll let you know. But there was a buy side imbalance on AMC today, which is always good news for us. We had a buy side imbalance yesterday, so buy side imbalance today was 66,831 shares. Let me put that back into the into this one here. Buy side imbalance. $66,000 shares today, and so I just put that into the Reddit chat because I would like some people to come over here if they can. So if you have some friends, hey, invite them over to the stream. It's actually a pretty good one. Just started doing it last week, but I've got a lot of experience with this stuff. I am long now. How many calls do I have on AMC? So this is biased. I'm not a financial advisor. If you do anything that I talk about here, you will lose 100% of your money guaranteed. Don't take my advice. Don't take it from Reddit. Don't take it from YouTube. Do your own due diligence, but I'm going to tell you what I think about the company anyway. I think it's great. I've done more due diligence on AMC than I have any other company probably over the last year, with the exception of Boeing. I made some decent money on AMC back in December, and all I did was ride it from 12 to 14 because I was still skittish. I hadn't done all my research on it. And again, we're still waiting on earnings to come out. As soon as those come out live, I will have those up. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can. Where did it go? Did that show up? No, it did not. Where is it? Oh, my other software is covering it. Sorry about that. Let me go back down here and let me find it. Okay, so as soon as earnings come out, we'll have that for you live here, and it should be coming up soon here. Let me pull up my news. Here we go. All right, so still waiting on it, and it should be coming out here shortly at any moment. Let's check my trading view and see if they release it over here. Still no release yet, so we're still waiting on that. But again, a great day on AMC today, in my opinion, 985. So I took two opportunities today. The two opportunities I took on AMC was I'm currently long in the position. I don't own any shares. I currently have 30 calls at $40. At $4 strike price that expire on 3/19. I have 15 calls now that I bought today at two separate times. I bought the $8 calls that expire April 16th, and I paid $3.25 on those premium, and I paid $3.25 on 5 of them, and I paid $3.30 on 10 of them. So 15 calls at $8 expiring April 16th. I now have 30 calls at $4 in the money that expire next week on the 19th. So still waiting on earnings. They still have not released yet. And as soon as they do, you'll have it here. So what do I see going forward? I think that, we've got some options activity. Looks like because of what happened today, all these short sellers and everybody else in GME taking their profits for those that bought GameStop above 300 are running down. What I like to compare, though, is I like to compare it against these guys. Not a big difference in the charts. This is Cinemark. Cinemark theaters are still not open. The CEO is going to talk in an hour. I'm going to carry the webcast here. If you want to tune in another hour, in about 15 minutes, we'll carry the webcast of AMC from the CEO. I did register for the site. If you want to listen to it yourself, you can just go to AMC or type in your search box AMC Investor Relations. It will take you to their corporate page. Hit on the overview. It's showing the third quarter, but let's see if they updated this yet. It will require you to register. Let's see here. And let me flip this over because I believe already registered. Yeah, I'm already registered. Hold on. All right, hold on a second. I need to pull this down here because I don't want to give my email address away. I'll pull it right back up, so bear with me for 1 second here. And it should let me in right away. All right, I'm going to do it again here. Let's see here. Oh, they got extra boxes here. All right, register. Oh, I see. So it wouldn't let me do it for the other one. Okay. All right. Now I can bring this back up. Okay. So as soon as that shows up, we will be able to get into it. All right. Still haven't released the earnings, folks. We're still waiting on it. It'll show up in my trading view over here, as well as over here. However, in the after hours on AMC, up about 12 cents to 9.98, so up 13 cents now. It's going pretty well. And this is live. I don't have delayed quotes. I get all the live quotes on here. GameStop currently 265. It closed at 18.10, and in the aftermarket, it is down $1. So again, this is more about AMC today because that's where the earnings are. I'm waiting just like you are. As soon as they release, I will have them for you. And there's usually a delay between my brokerage. I trade Street Smart Edge using Charles Schwab. There's $10 on AMC. All they're talking about is the same stuff as far as where it was going at. But we are looking at earnings. As soon as they come across the wire here, I'll have them for you. I don't need to refresh. They will simply just show up, and then we can go into it. If you want to, once these earnings release, if somebody wants to take these numbers and type them into the chat over there on the Reddit stream for AMC stock, I'm registered in there as well. I've had some DD in there before, so I'm now long 45 calls on this bad boy, and I've got 30 of the calls expiring next week at $4, and I picked up 15 calls today at $8. Paid a premium for those, but those go out to April 16th. So a little bit of a battle today, a little bit of short covering. I did see earlier somebody posted in the chat on Reddit that they were talking about the shorts had until today to cover it, but it was Yahoo Finance, and I think that was just somebody's opinion possibly over there. And we're still waiting. We're still waiting here on the earnings, so they may not release them maybe for a little bit here. We'll see. But if you're in the chat, if you have a question, feel free to drop it into the chat. I do have that screen pulled up right now, and let me move it over just a tad here so that I can see, because I want to get the news too. But AMC is definitely going to be something good to look at. And here, look. Here's what's going to happen. This is exactly what's going to happen on the earnings. They're going to talk about their losses. Now, the earnings estimate, they are actually looking at negative $3.24 per share loss. If they hit that $3.24, if they lose $2.80, if they lose $4, it doesn't matter. They opened up over the weekend. They had just about every single theater in New York City over the weekend. They have 13 theaters in the New York market that are basically 25%. They basically sold out almost every one of them. The CEO was on Fox Business on Monday. He was also on CNBC on Friday. What he talked about the fact that, hey, we're looking for 2 markets to open up. We're looking for New York to open up. We're looking for LA to open up. What does that mean for them? Well, here's what it really means, and we're still waiting on earnings. What it means for Cinemark still has all their theaters closed. They're sitting on the sidelines, and so they can sit on the sidelines. And what that means is when Black Widow and the Marvel movies hit, what the CEO is going to talk about, he's going to talk about the summertime. He's going to talk about the movies that are going to come out in his theaters from May Memorial Day all the way through to July 4th. And what that's going to do for this stock, in my opinion, is going to send it. And I don't know where it's going to end up at. I do realize some of you are in for the short squeeze. I've got a decision to make. I have to decide whether I am going to roll over my $4 calls that expire next Friday, and I'm going to roll those over to a later date because I think come summertime, this thing's going to look a lot higher. It doesn't mean if this thing goes ballistic and goes parabolic that I'm not going to take some profit out on the calls, but I'm 45 calls into this guy. I don't own the underlying because I want to tie up the shares on the purchase side. So I now own the right to buy 4,500 shares. So 4,500 shares at 4 and 8, so 6. So 4,500 times 6. So not much, about 27 grand into it if I were to decide to exercise those. 3,000 shares next Friday and another 1,500 shares on April 16th. So still looking here, we're still waiting on the earnings. They haven't come out yet. As soon as they hit, I will have them for you. So in the aftermarket, we're at 10.01. That's actually a good sign. Remember, we're up 1.52% off the close, and that's really mainly because we had a buy-side imbalance. And I think I can, let me see here. If this works, bear with me a moment. And let me get this. Here we go. All right. I'm not going to show you the balances on my account. As a matter of fact, let me close my positions over here. And we'll just leave alerts open there. And let me go to this one. We're going to minimize. There we go. All right. So the earnings are going to show up in this box here. And this is my Street Smart Edge. Okay. And what you're seeing is you're seeing the level 2 quotes that I have. So these are trades that are happening right now live in the aftermarket. And I can move these all over the place. It doesn't. Oops. Lost it. Hold on. Throw that over there. What happened to my quotes? All right, let's try this again. Let me get file. Let me go into my load. Laptop day trade. Oh, here we go. And I think it just posted. Let's take a look here and see if it pulls up here. It's trying. The first one is up. And let me drag this back down and let's see where we're at here. No text though on this yet. So no text. All right. Report results for the fourth quarter and year end, which have been posted to the investor relations section of AMC's website. So here we go. Come on, where you at? And let me see if this works here. There we go. Now we can look at it. All right, so looks like company will host a conference call. We know that already. No numbers there on that one, so hold on, bear with me. We'll get the second one here. Hello. Here we go. I think we have it. Hold on. Oh, it's just trying to take me to the event. Come on, guys, you're killing me here. All right, let's see if I can get it over here. Feels amazing. New York is cheer reopening of movies. That's old news. Oh, that's Cinemark. Keep that stupid stock off of there. We don't care about Cinemark right now. Okay. Sometimes a trading view doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, still hasn't released it over on TradingView. And let's get this closed. And let's hide that. And close that one off. Close this one off. I'm going to drag this up, folks, so you can see this. Bear with me 1 second. I'll have it for you. Okay, and let me go back up here. Let me take this guy here. What you're seeing over here is the level 2 quotes. There's a buy side imbalance I was talking about, the 68,000 shares there. But again, it's not showing Results default. Quarterly results. It's still not showing the numbers yet, folks. Still waiting, still waiting, still waiting. Update. Stocks run amok. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's see here. Yeah, the website should be... They should have released actually the actual PowerPoint presentation. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because we don't have to wait. Oh, here we go. Here's the PDF. No, it's the same stupid thing. I've already registered for that. I don't care about that. All right, so we still have to wait, I guess, for these guys to show us what they want to show us. The numbers aren't in here, and if you go onto their website, they're not listed over there either. Let's see if we have it over here on TradingView. Apologize for the delay, but until they actually show the actual what's going to happen here, we'll see. So they still haven't released the number yet. All they've done is talk about their conference call, and it's unbelievable that my Schwab stuff hasn't shown up yet either. Here we go. Revenue estimates. All right, so let's get this one open here. All right, AMC Entertainment Holdings posted a smaller than expected fall. A smaller than expected fall. That's great news on quarterly revenue. Following easing of coronavirus restrictions in the U.S., revenue fell to $162.5 million. That's fantastic news. And the quarter ended December 31st from $1.45 billion. That is fantastic, fantastic news. So that's good stuff. So revenue fell. So that's definitely good news on that one. So we'll leave that one over here. Let's see the other ones that might come out here. Let's see what's happening in the aftermarket on that. So that's great news. So exceeds. Revenue. So exceeds revenue estimates on there. That's the only one so far. So look at this. Revenue fell to 162 from 1.4. So we were expecting, analysts were expecting revenue of 142 from the IBES. A smaller than expected fall in fourth quarter revenue. That is actually good news. They lost money. They did not lose as much money as what people thought they would lose. So that's good. That's a good one right there. Let's see what it's doing in the aftermarket. It's up 23 cents, up to 10.05 in the aftermarket. So that is certainly good news. And as the other ones show up here, we'll see. Let's check the TradingView side of things again, and let's see if it still doesn't show anything on their end. TradingView is always delayed. I always get everything better on my brokerage, one of my brokerage accounts, than I do on TradingView. So certainly that is fantastic news for them. Asking if I have a YouTube. Yes, I do. I do have a YouTube channel. It is Crypto Sonar. Crypto Sonar is the channel that I'm at over on YouTube. And should be, yeah, and that's live right now as well. So Crypto Sonar channel is live over on YouTube and Twitch on both of those. So still waiting on the other numbers here. They still haven't released the rest of the numbers yet. The conference call is going to be at 2 o'clock. I'm going to carry the webcast of the conference call live on my stream. I'm already registered for it, and I've got it basically loaded and ready to go. So we'll be ready to go on that one as well. Let's see here. Beats revenue. That's the only one they've released so far. So looking at the level 2 quotes in the aftermarket, this is what this is down here. You can see anything in the gray is going to be the dark pools. Those are going to be some numbers. You won't see the percentages on those. They may be buying shares, 3 decimal places out. So still waiting on any other news here. Let me click out and click back in, but usually I don't. Usually it'll go. So far, the only thing they reported released so far is looked like the revenue estimate. It doesn't look like the PowerPoints have been released yet. Let me poke around here a little bit more. And because sometimes they'll have, if they did the last time, they'll have the PowerPoint. Let's see if this lets me in this way. Okay, I'm in the lobby for the conference call. So I've got that ready to go. They have not posted the PowerPoint yet. If they post a PowerPoint, I'll throw the PowerPoint up here. We'll go through it before the call as well. But certainly looking good in the aftermarket. It's up now. Well, now it's down a little bit. So down a penny. Here we go. AMC Entertainment. Okay, what'd they file? Let's see. They filed an 8K. Here we go. All right, so let's pull this up. This is their filing. Let me make that a little bit bigger for us. And okay, so let's go through it. And again, this is going to be the stuff that they're going to talk about on their call. So this is it. This is the stuff that you need. Let me go over here. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this. Fourth quarter summary results as of October 1st. AMC had resumed operations at 467 of its theaters, or 78% of its domestic circuit. Fantastic news. After having suspended operations for 5 months beginning in March, mandates, blah, 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 blah. As of December 31st, we're operating 394 domestic theaters. So now they're basically looking to finish opening things up. Adam Aaron, he's going to be on the webcast in another 35 minutes during the fourth quarter. Okay. More than 8 million people returned to AMC Theater during the fourth quarter. That is fantastic. That is good. I feel good about this so far. Since March of 2020, we have raised approximately $2.2 billion of gross cash proceeds, and that looks pretty good as well. They did pay off $600 million of notes of debt, converting it from debt to equity, so that's good news too. And of course, we know about Wanda, who had up to a 50% position in the company, now has been reduced to about 10%, I think. Let's see, do I got to scroll on this? No, here we go. All right, so 2020, here we go. Revenue, 1.4 billion. In 2019, 162.5 million, down 88%, 77% net loss. There we go, non-GAAP. Let's give me the real number. Free cash flow, attendance. Again, big time down. First one is going to be the quarter, and this is going to be the year. So we need to look at two columns here when we're looking at this. So on the year, 356 million people. In 2019, 75 million people in 2020. Average screens is actually up now, 72.31 in the quarter. That's good. Cash, they have was 308 million at the end of December. They drew 325 million during the first quarter. Under existing revolving credit facilities, issued the 500 million. We knew about this last April. The first lien notes. Working with landlords, etc., etc. Tax credits. Reduced principal. Here we go. Debt exchange offer. This is important stuff that we already knew about. This is nothing new as far as all this information. Most of it we knew. All right, expense management. Who cares? Theater reopenings update. Let me check something else here. Nope, still has the same. Here we go, Chrome. Okay. Talking about New York. Again, New York just opened up. AMC also reopened 5 theaters in San Francisco on March 5th. So that's new news. We may have seen that in the chat. I'm not sure. So again, they're waiting for California to open. That's what we need. Black Widow's going to hit in April, I think. Upon returning to the movies, here's what they also did. They also closed some locations that were not profitable. They remodeled a whole bunch of locations as well. And they received Harvard University's prestigious School of Public Health, as well as the #1 U.S. clean brand Clorox company, under advisement of Harvard for returning to the movies, talking about air filters within there, non-cash impairment charges, webcast, blah, blah, blah. We know about that. We'll carry that as well. Future-looking statements. Are the rest warnings? Where's the numbers? Tables. Revenues, operating costs, rent. And I think I can put this, Control C. Let me throw this in the chat too. So for those that might be in the chat, they can, there you go. And then, so that's on there. Okay, here we go. Hold on. That's what we want. Loss per share, 621 for the quarter. 39.15. So give me a second. $324 on the quarter. What were we at? 621. Back over here. Still nothing showing over here. This is crazy. Wow, they don't report this stuff in easy to read format. Cash and cash equivalents on hand. Look at it. They got more cash at the end of December 31st than they did at the end of 2019. Don't buy Cinemark. This is a much better play. Their theaters are opening and they're going to hit. There's going to be a ton of movies that are going to be opening up this summertime. You've got Top Gun 2. You've got Black Widow coming out. You got the Marvel movies coming out. All this stuff, the Disney stuff, even though they're dual streaming, Warner Brothers and Disney, dual streaming on their platforms, it doesn't matter. They're going to want to get their kids, and they're going to want to take their kids to the theater to see these movies. If you don't think that everybody pent up for the last year is not going to go to the movies, you're absolutely crazy. Top Gun is going to be an amazing movie. I remember seeing that back when I was in the, up here, back in the Marine Corps, back in the day. I saw Top Gun in the theaters, and I loved that movie. And Tom Cruise did a great job, so I'm sure that's going to be a really good movie as well. Let's see what else we got here. U.S. markets, ticket prices, $9.96 a ticket on average. So they went up 15 cents a ticket on average. Food, look at this. Look at the revenues. Year to date, $651 on the quarter. That's fantastic. U.S. screens, $59.52. You know, year to date, $37. So year ago, $7,900. So they're coming back with this stuff. All right, let me go back over here. All right, here we go. It beats on revenues. We already know that. Okay, AMC adds background. Pose a smaller than expected fall in fourth quarter revenue. We know that. Here we go. Net loss attributable. Analysts were expecting revenue 142. Net loss attributable to AMC widened to $948 million, or $6.21 a share during the quarter, from $13.5 million or 13 cents a share a year ago. So that is going to be. Let's see here. They posted it over here yet? Not yet. Crazy how TradingView does not catch up. So it is up 80. It's up 92 cents in the aftermarket, up to 10.75. So this is certainly being perceived as good news on the release of earnings for AMC. I could not be happier. This is good stuff. Let's see here. Come back over here. Let me close this one down. They missed by 2 cents. So loss of $3.15 per share, excluding non-recurring items, 2 cents worse than a consensus of $3.13. So that's the number right here. Let me throw this out. That does not copy. Are you kidding me? Somebody wants to post that in the chat. Actually, I think I can go over there and do that right now. All right, so where are we at here? Okay. So that's good stuff there. Hey, 2 cents, man. From 313 to 315, and now we're opening up. What that means is that's fantastic news for the stock, and I think that's going to be already reflected in the level 2 quotes. Let's take a look in the aftermarket here. We are up 89 cents at 1074 in the aftermarket. You can see the level 2s. Look at the buys over here, and when you see the grays, those are dark pool. All the green. Look at all the green compared to the red. So people are buying this stock. You have the bid and the ask listed over here. This is fantastic news. This is great stuff. The fact that they're opening up within both California and Northern California, they said 5. I had no idea they opened up screens in Santa Clara up north. San Francisco market opened up 5 screens on March 5th. Maybe I missed the news on that, but they opened all 13 theaters in the New York metro market last weekend. I believe they expect by April 5th. I want to say, hold on. Let me go over here. I think this weekend, the weekend of April 3rd, so the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think they're expecting California theaters to be open by then, probably with a lower amount is my best absolute guess at this point at 25%. So again, they beat their revenue estimate as they're returning to theaters, signal a recovery in its hard-hit business. COVID-19 pandemic devastated the film business in 2020. We already know that, but huge. They thought they were going to lose a lot more money than what they did. Unbelievable. Great news. So again, the big number is on the beat, or I'm sorry, the big number, the loss of 315 per share, 2 cents worse than the consensus of 313. So revenues fell 88.8 cents per year. This is the stuff that's actually open here. Why can't I had no idea that I could not copy this. But some of you want to type that into the chat over there, you can. We're going to carry the conference call. It's going to be in a little while here. But in the meantime, we can look at a couple other things that happened in the markets today, and we can look at the aftermarket. So right now, this is live. Let me go over to the 30-second chart. I usually keep one open. I could show you buy signals that I usually have on the 3-minute chart. What I look for is I look for confirmations. For example, see if my DD is any good. I hit a buy signal here at 989 right as we entered the aftermarket. Still operating. I'll look at this. If it breaks through in the aftermarket on this 1096 level, it's probably going to break this $11. So we can watch that in a moment, but I'm going to go back to the 30-second chart as we watch this. So remember that number 10, we're basically looking at 1094, 1095. Let me go over to the 30-second chart. This is the chart I use before I buy. So when I bought my 15 additional call options on AMC today, my confirmation, I looked for a buy signal on the 3-minute chart. I looked for the 50 and 200 period averages. These are not day averages. If you want the 50 and the 200 moving day averages, you've got to come over here, and I cheat. I don't use 200 days. I use 180 days so I can front run it. So I look for confirmations on the 3-minute, and then I go on and look at the action on the 30-second chart and see where we're at. So on a 30-second chart, you can see we're above here. The green is going to be the VWAP. But on the 3-minute, we can watch that and see, hey, we're above the VWAP. It came up here, it hit it, and it hit resistance coming right back down again. But still up 73 cents in the aftermarket. So somebody said in the chat here, Godzilla versus Kong. Absolutely Godzilla versus Kong. And we're Godzilla. We have just turned into Godzilla, okay? Because a lot of people think we're a bunch of apes. But you know what? I'm taking the flip side of that. You know why? Because I look at something like Cinemark, and this is who I've been comparing to. I went into Fintel, and if you go into Fintel.io and you look at all the owners of that stock, institutionally owned, and the players that moved into it, did you all know that when the GameStop chat was going on and they were at that hearing, Melvin Capital, they were asked a specific question. They were asked, this guy went out there and bragged and said, I no longer have any positions in GameStop. They never asked a follow-up question, because guess what they did? The day before that GameStop hearing, Melvin Capital went in and they shorted AMC another 1 million shares. They went in there. It's out there on the K1s. It's released. It's out there on the Fintel websites. They went in and shorted this darn thing again. But there were companies like Charles Schwab that came in and added them. There was Northern Trust Bank that came in and added shares to their portfolio from February 16th. You can go in there and I wonder if I can pull this up for you, because this was the due diligence that I was doing before I bought all my call options on the stock. I think it's Fintel.io. I think so. I think that's right. Let's see here, AMC. And I'm going to look at, we're going to go into, here we go, SEC filings, and check this out, because this is some real stuff here. Somebody's asking, can I check on GME in a minute? I want to see what you would say if it's a good buy or not. Alex is asking me if he wants to see if I would say it's a good buy or not. I like the stock. I will not give you financial advice. I will tell you what I did. I will not tell you whether you will buy it. If you follow my advice, you are going to lose 100% of your money. Every single dollar you will be giving it to the funds. With that said, let's see what the ownership is doing and what they're doing. So what I did was I looked at buyers and I looked at sellers. And you can come over here on Fintel.io and you can take a look at the buyers, and you can go back. And I want you to look at this. Calls, Jane Street, where the puts at? Where's those SOPs at? Oh, what happened here? Okay, let me scroll down here. And I want you to look at it, because really what I really started digging the last time was 16th. And on the 16th, you had a whole bunch. Here's some calls. JP Morgan Chase, buying calls, 46,000 of them. But the 16th was the big one. Here we go. Puts, calls, where's it at? Not Melvin, Citadel. Citadel went from 790,000 in puts to 1.7 million in puts on the 16th, which was the day before they testified at the GameStop hearings. So now you can look at that, and then you can say, okay, well, where else can I go in this thing looking at these? And you can say, okay, let me see the buyers. And you can scroll down and you say, who's adding their positions? I know Schwab was adding to them. Vanguard was adding to them. Here's Vanguard adding to it. These are big buys, folks. Russell ETF going from 1 million to 1.7. Look at this. Back on March 1st, 1.8 to 2.3. These are current shares. This is previous shares and current shares. So some are selling, some are buying. Here's an increase on Vanguard from 1.2 million up to 1.9. Here is Vanguard again, 1.8 to 2.3. Here is back on the 25th in ETF, 1 million to 1.7 million shares for the iShares ETF, IVM. So you can look at all this stuff and you can add it, and you can say who's shorting the darn thing and who's buying the darn thing. So it's something definitely worth looking at. Let's take a look here. So 2 cents. I'm going to see if there's any other additional news release. No other additional news release there. Let me take a look on my trading view side, and we'll take a look and see. Hey, what happened to it? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I was already in that area. So let's take a quick look in the aftermarket here. We're still trading up 1047, a huge jump, up 55 cents. It's going to slam. If it goes again, it may try and slam into here. But that 2 cent beat got us back above $10. So that might mean that there might be another battle for the $10 range or the $11 range or possibly the $12 range for Friday expiration. But the big expiration isn't this Friday. It's irrelevant really what happens this Friday. It's the monthly to quadruple options expiration that go down on March 19th, and that's going to be really where the interest is. So again, it bounced off this resistance. It bounced off of this resistance level on the 50 and 180 period moving average on the 3-minute chart only. Looking at the 30-second chart, we can watch this every 30 seconds and see what it's doing here. Coming back down on the 30-second chart down to VWAP, we'll either be looking for a bounce here or a little bit further south. So what did I do today? Somebody was asking me what I did today. I actually bought 15 more calls of in the money call options. I bought the $8 call options that expire April 16th is the calls that I own. I bought 15 of those. I currently hold my position. I currently hold 30 calls at the $4 strike price, expiration for $3.19 for next Friday. So I'm in the money very nicely on those already, and those turned out to be pretty good buys already. And I think on my my calls I bought today, I believe I'm up on those just a little bit on the ones that I added to today, because I think I got those. What did I get? I got 5 calls at $3.30, and I got 10 calls at $3.25 is what I got. And I don't know where those are at right now. Let's take a look. We can take a look here. We can go over to calls and puts. Hey, go to calls and puts. We can take a look at the chain on the April 16th. And over here, it shows the peak because I have a position. And again, I'm right in the middle here. If you look at the midpoint, I bought 5 calls at 3.30 and 10 calls at 3.25. So I'm just about break even on those right now. Here's an update. Hold on a second. Nope, that's the same one as before. We already saw that one. So that's what I own. I own those. And then for the 3.19, I don't own any calls for this Friday's expiration. So I don't own any of those calls. For the 3.19, you got to go all the way back over to, where are my calls at? Hey, March 19th. They don't even show them. Where are my calls? I don't know why. Oh, 8 strikes. Sorry. My bad. And we want the calls. Here we go. Okay, so I have 30 of these calls at $4. Okay, so those are at $4, and I forget what I paid for them here. But this is the open interest. So what you're looking at here is these are the calls that are in the money for the open interest. We have 52,000 contracts of calls at $10. So let's look at the around the money and let's see where the action might be for this coming Friday. Wants to know if GameStop if GameStop is a good buy or not. I don't own any GameStop. I'll talk about it in a little bit here. We've got about 15 minutes before the conference call on AMC. We're going to carry that conference call live here on the stream. We'll repost the link on that as well. But look at the interest now. You're not going to be well. Actually, here's what I can do. Let me make this bigger for y'all. And let's take a look at the open interest. So this is the open interest on for this coming Friday. So these are the calls that expire March 19th of this week, going all the way up to $17. I've got 20 strikes. I can go all. Here, let's have some fun. And this is Street Smart Edge. I'm not going to show you my balances. You want to see the real apes? Here's the apes, $40. You have 33,000 contracts expiring this coming Friday at a $40 strike price. But it's up today, so we don't know what they paid for those things going forward. So look at the action here. Here's 37,000 at 15, 13,000 at 14. And again, the options on AMC the options on GameStop go every dollar. The options on AMC only go every 50 cents. So you can't buy a $13.25 option. You can't buy a $12 option. The only thing I own with AMC, I do not own shares at all. The only thing I own is I own the option to purchase 4,500 shares. So that's the play that I chose to go with this. So we have 14,000 contracts at 13, only 11,000 at 12, 10,000 at 11, and 4,500, but we've got 52,000 contracts at $10. Where's the battle? If we go to around the money, we've got 52,000 contracts. Okay, if we go in the money, let's see what we got for 9. So 52,000 at 10, 18,000 at 9. There's your battle, folks. Your battle is lining up, and we're at 1038 now in the aftermarket. But the battle is aligned for $10 in my best guess for Friday. So in the aftermarket, we're up 54 cents at 1039. In the aftermarket, I could even drag this down. We could watch this on the 1 second candle and watch what happens live bar by bar if we wanted to, but I don't want to. Let's take a look at GameStop in the after hours. I also, again, by my name, I'm Crypto Sonar. Thanks for the look. If you like this content, if you think I'm crazy, let me know down below. If you're watching me on YouTube, if you think I'm nuts about what I'm saying, go ahead and put it down in the chat. If you have a question, feel free to ask it down there. I'm not following the live chat over on the Reddit thread, on the AMC stock Reddit subreddit, but I will be happy to answer some questions here. I invest in 4 different things: real estate, precious metals, cryptocurrency, and stocks and options. Okay. So Bitcoin, I own Bitcoin. The last buy I did on Bitcoin, I think it was at 23,000. And the last buy I did at Ethereum was at 1450. So I own both of those. I also crypto mine as well. I've been doing that since 2017. Let's take a look at GameStop. Here in the after hours, it's up $1.85, basically flat. If you look at where we closed at 265. If you want to wonder where the battle is going to be for this coming Friday on GameStop, we can take a quick look at that. Oh, by the way, what did I sell to buy my calls today? I'll show you here in a second. I do dividend buys. And by dividend buys, what I do is I take something like Rocket, and I bought Rocket back on the 5th. I bought Rocket on the 5th. I bought 750 shares of Rocket on the 5th at $24.84, $24.89. So $24.89, 24.89, and I sold those at 25, actually right at $25.94. So I made $1.05 on those times 750 shares. I made $787.50 on that, but I sold it today because I qualified for the dividend yesterday. I bought it on the 5th. You had to own it by Friday in order to collect the dividend. If you remember back in February, they declared a $1.11 dividend on Rocket. The X date was on Monday. The record date was yesterday. I sold it today. I made $1.05 per share on that, but I'm also getting on those shares on March 23rd. I'll get $832 on the dividend. I took the money from that, and that's what I bought my calls on for AMC today. So I like taking money I make and then buying something else. The last time AMC, I wrote it from 12 to 14 back in December. I took the profits from that and I bought basically some precious metals. So let's look at GameStop, 265. We talked about that a second ago. It's up $1.20. Real quick in the aftermarket, let's take a look at AMC. And oh, you know what that is? That's this. So let me lower the volume on that. Will it let me? Do I have this open in 2 screens? Hold on, folks. Sorry about the background noise. I don't know where it's coming from. So that's got to be their music there. Do I have this open twice? Hold on. Ah, that's why. So we get to listen to a little bit of that. Let's see here. I think I can take that down a little bit so you can hear me a little bit easier. Okay, so what I want to take a look at, I want to take a quick look at GameStop, and we're going to see where the battle is. So if we look at where the action is on the open interest and look at the volume. Right, we want to look at right around the money or the out of the monies. Let's look at the out of the monies based on the close. They were at 265 on the close. You've got a battle here, 300. That's about the only battle you have, because the 200s, I think there wasn't a whole lot of it. You have 5,300 at the $300 level, at the 200 level. Again, these go every $5, so you have 3,400 contracts, 2,800 contracts. Most of the action this week, or for this Friday, if any, is you've got 50,000 contracts at $10 for AMC. So that's where the action is going to be on there. Scheist is asking me, how much BTC do you mine a day and how much did you invest? All right. I think I can pull a portion of this up. Hold on a second, and I will show you guys what I do with mining. Let me close some of these other ones out. So I've been mining since 2017. And I think I can show you this up here. I have 7 different miners. And let me see here. Okay. You can look at my address up there. I don't care. Okay, so I have 7 different miners. So I'm mining right now right about 1,300 megahash. So that's right about 1.3 gigahash. So my next payout it will be $389, and that will be within the next day. What am I making a month on that? I create income streams. That's what I'm all about on my channel. I want to teach people to make more money. So I'm bringing in about $4,000 a month mining cryptocurrency currently. And that varies. My miners find anywhere from 900 shares or so an hour. And I've got 7 different rigs that basically go for. So basically it's 36 different graphic cards that I have. And I use that money to create other income streams as well. And so I don't work. I retired. I basically quit my corporate job back on October 25th of last year. I won't tell you the company. I left making about $1.25 a year. So I took $125,000 income and said, see you later, alligator. And so I'm 55 years old, and I've got 5 to 6 different ways that I have income streams. Some of them are passive. Scheist, I hope that answers your question. He also says, my battle is I need AMC to top $21. Average down? I don't know. It may or may not hit that. It may or may not hit that as well. So let me go over to, I want to go back over here. For some people that don't want to register, I'm going to replace the link in the no register. I'm carrying the conf call on stream, and we'll post it. Okay, and then that way, if somebody wants to watch it from the AMC stock thread, they can click on that link. If you don't want to give your email address, and that's probably a nice, safe way to go. I gave them my email address simply because it's a little bit easier to go. All right, so hopefully you guys can hear me still on the stream. I think, let me see. Click on that link. Yep, good. All right, so you can't hear me pretty well. The music is down. I turned that down. I need to take off my epidemic sound and pause that. And that is paused. And so we will be ready to go on the stream as soon as they start it. So we'll be good to go there. Let me go over into my other channel here. There we go. That's the one I want up. All right. So again, if we're looking at 1048, we're up 63 cents. So again, if you're just joining us, AMC missed their earnings estimate on the per share side. They came out and they missed it by 2 cents. So they came in at 322, or they missed it by 2 cents. We looked at what that looked like in their results. So again, that was something that missed it by 2 cents. You know, the S&P 500 had a good day here on the close. Some of the tech sectors were down. Energy, I'm big on energy. I love Exxon. I love Chevron. I certainly love U.S. oil, which is an ETF, and I bought some January 2022 calls on an ETF. Fancy that one, if you will. Financials were up today. Techs were mostly down. Nvidia finished down on the day. I've got some options expiring next week. Here we go. Nice little move here on AMC after hours here in anticipation of the call. It's going to be, I'll tell you what, we've got another 3 hours of aftermarket on AMC. And as long as you guys, if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat, either on YouTube or stream. I pay for the premium. I'm streaming on both. Let's see here. Running downtown in real life. I'm going to have to survive on Vector protein cereal if AMC don't hit 20. There you go. Hey, let's look at that. Let's take a look at the daily 4 hour. Yeah, maybe the 4 hour chart. And let me get rid of the external. And let me go ahead and hit auto. And let's say, you had the cup and the handle. You had some things here and you say, here's the thing. Where are you going to find support? It broke it, dude. It broke it. We're done. We're done with this. We're done with this $11 level. I think that, we're done. We're above the VWAP on the 4 hour. Yes, we're above the 50 and the 200. If you look at the daily, we're well above the 50 and the 200. But and I don't use a 200 moving day average. I use a 180 day moving average. And what I also have is I also use something. I do all my buys, my final buying decision. Me personally, I use a 3-minute chart. I look for the pivots, and I look for entry points. So where it was today when it was dropping down in this range and over here, I bought my calls here, and I bought them here. So I made 2 call purchases for 15 additional calls on AMC today. The strike price I chose are the in the money currently April 16th calls.
Greetings. Welcome to the AMC Entertainment fourth quarter and year-end 2020
All right, here we go.
webcast. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. A question and answer session will follow the formal presentation. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press *0 on your telephone keypad. Please note this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the conference over to your host, John Merriweather. You may begin.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to AMC's
Sorry.
and year-end 2020 earnings.
I'm going to mute myself.
With me this afternoon is Adam Aron, our President and Chief Executive Officer, and Sean Goodman, our Chief Financial Officer. Before I turn the call over to Adam, let me remind everyone that some of the comments made by management during this conference call may contain forward-looking statements that are based on management's current expectations. Numerous risks, uncertainties, and other factors may cause actual results to differ materially from those that might be expressed today. Many of these risks and uncertainties are discussed in our most recent public filings, including our most recently filed 10-Q. Several of the factors that will determine the company's future results are beyond the ability of the company to control or predict. In light of the uncertainties inherent in any forward-looking statements, listeners are cautioned to not place undue reliance on these statements. The company undertakes no obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events. On this call, we may reference measures such as adjusted EBITDA, free cash flow, adjusted free cash flow, and constant currency, among others, which are non-GAAP financial measures. For a full reconciliation of our non-GAAP measures to GAAP results, please see our earnings release posted in the Investor Relations section of our website earlier today. After our prepared remarks, there will be a Q&A session. This afternoon's call is being recorded, and a webcast replay will be available in the Investor Relations section of our website at amctheaters.com later today. With that, I'll turn the call over to Adam.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Let me begin this afternoon's call the same way I've begun all of our 2020 earnings calls, by expressing my wishes that you and your families are all in good health. And I will add to that on this call, and that vaccination
Let's go.
Comes soon.
This is going to be good
For you as well. You all know that 2020 was a year unlike anything that we've ever seen. COVID-19 has dramatically, and in some cases tragically, affected all of us to an extent we never could have or would have imagined. Throughout it all, AMC never minimized the stresses that this pandemic put on our industry and on our company, which were corporately life-threatening, as you all know. On our quarterly calls, we told you of our resolve and determination, but also of our reality and distress. Our public disclosures were fulsome, robust, and fully transparent. We pulled no punches in describing the magnitude of our challenge, and yet we were clear that at AMC, we were absolutely committed to fighting the good fight and doing all that was humanly possible to save this proud century-old American company that has been a meaningful part of the American cultural landscape since 1920.
I love this guy.
And finally, today, we can give you an immensely satisfying report.
Let's go.
As we sit here
Let's
today,
go.
thanks to developments on so many fronts during the fourth quarter, and especially in January and February, I am now in a position to say that I am optimistic and confident about AMC's ability to weather this COVID-19 storm. Our focus is no longer on survival, but now is turned instead to directing a surge in moviegoing and on the recovery of AMC. Objectives that feel to us like they're right around the corner. AMC's accomplishments over the past year have literally been breathtaking since our theater shutdowns almost exactly a year ago. With what essentially was an instantaneous and almost complete collapse of our revenues, there was
You got
very little room for
AMC
error.
in the aftermarket live
Simply
down
put,
below. We're up
AMC
6.4% in the
needed to
aftermarket.
execute flawlessly to make it through 2020, and that is exactly what we did. So why are we so confident, even ebullient today? 4 reasons why. First, we raised a boatload of money.
Yes, they did.
And over again, we raised cash. Doomsayers wrote us off several times during the last 10 months, and many strongly doubted our ability to raise the necessary capital to survive
I like the stock.
absent a court-sanctioned restructuring. But happily, they were wrong. Now, they weren't wrong because they misjudged the risk. AMC walked quite a tightrope in 2020. But thanks to the tireless and skilled efforts of the AMC team, support from our creditors and landlord partners, and enthusiasm for AMC's future in the equity markets, since March of 2020, we've raised a total of $2.2 billion of gross debt and equity capital, including some $870 million of equity. We secured more than $1.6 billion of creditor and landlord concessions and generated more than $80 million in asset sales to weather the storm. Second, we have proven that we can operate our theaters safely and cleanly, and our theaters are reopening now once again. As for our safety and cleanliness protocols, they were developed in partnership with the Clorox Company and current and former faculty of Harvard University's prestigious School of Public Health, and those protocols have worked brilliantly. Some 17 million moviegoers have watched movies in our theaters since reopening, and we are not aware of even a single COVID-19 case having been transmitted at our theaters amongst our guests. To achieve this impressive result, of course, we did the obvious social distancing, mask wearing, seat blocking, ubiquitous cleaning wipes and hand sanitizer gel, along with a wide array of other sanitization efforts. But at AMC, we also were way out in front with high-tech solutions like electrostatic sprayers, HEPA vacuums, and perhaps most important of all, upgrading our HVAC systems to include MERV 13 quality air filtration. As for theater reopenings, we finished 2020 with only 67% of our U.S. and 30% of our international theaters open for business. This is down from the fourth quarter highs, where 90% of our circuit was open, both in the United States and internationally. But as we now turn the page on 2020, the year 2021 is already proving to be a much brighter story. As of March 5th, with the reopening of our very important New York City and San Francisco theaters, and a brand new theater christening in Denver as well, we are back to our fourth quarter highs of approximately 90% of the AMC domestic circuit being open. That is a much higher percentage of our theaters that are open than most of our major competitors and the U.S. theater community as a whole. We think that's a competitive advantage for us as we move to bring moviegoers back to our theaters as new movie titles are released. Now, as for New York, the New York City reopening is such a harbinger of good times ahead for AMC. Pent-up demand is a mighty, mighty thing. In just its first open weekend, the New York DMA was AMC's single biggest market in attendance and in revenues across the entire United States. It helped drive our weekend attendance a few days ago to be 250% of what it was in the last 3 weekends of January or in the first 3 weekends of February.
Look at the stock, folks.
New York's first open weekend gave us at AMC our best weekend results dating all the way back to March of 2020. And importantly, based on comments made yesterday and again today by Governor Newsom of California, we should be opening our theaters across Southern California, including Los Angeles County, sometime very soon, possibly, but not yet definitely, as soon as 9 days from now,
March
on
3rd,
Friday,
April
March
3rd.
19. Incidentally,
that's
we're
new.
opening our theaters in Alameda County,
I was thinking LA, second,
what you think
third.
of as Oakland and the East Bay, 2 days from now, on Friday, March 12th.
Wow.
To put the magnitude of an LA reopening in perspective, as a movie market, the LA DMA is about double the size of the New York City market. And so important for us, given AMC's market share leading positions.
March
in
1st,
these
Vanguard,
cities
a
and in these
million
states,
more shares.
almost 1/3 of all AMC movie viewing dollars in the United States takes place in just the 4 states of California and the tri-state region of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And finally, after a year of closure, New York City and Los Angeles are coming back for AMC. Looking internationally, our 7 theaters in the Middle East all reopened this past weekend also. And it's our current expectation that almost all of our European theaters will in fact reopen well in time for the big spate of movie blockbusters that are expected to start getting released in May. Speaking of movie blockbusters, the third reason for our good humor and secure state of mind is that after a long drought, one major new movie title after another is set for near-term release. Warner Brothers has Godzilla vs. Kong later this month. We hear that Disney is very firmly committed to an early May release of Black Widow. Sony just moved Peter Rabbit forward in May. Paramount just moved A Quiet Place 2 from September to Memorial Day weekend. Universal is holding F9, the latest Fast and Furious movie, with a June 2021 release. And speaking as a personal favorite, my favorite movie this summer, no doubt, will be the long-awaited Top Gun Maverick starring Tom Cruise.
Boom, baby.
And which opens 4th of July weekend.
Let's go.
And after that, it'll be one hit movie after another all year long. The CEOs of 2 major studios each told me that a good metaphor for AMC's circumstance is that we are LaGuardia Airport, closed by a thunderstorm with tons of planes circling overhead, all waiting to land and all needing to land.
Oops.
By our count, around 40 major movie titles that have already been completed were delayed from a 2020 release and will be released theatrically, hitting our big screens starting in May and beyond. Another metaphor that I've repeatedly used is that AMC is in the new car business, and that since March of 2020, we've had very few new cars shipped to our showrooms. Finally, now, those new cars are on their way to us, and seldom we will, in massive quantities, I might add. And the fourth reason for our optimism is the brisk pace of vaccination. This very week will mark the 100 millionth vaccine injection in arm in the United States. And we are vaccinating now in this country at a rate of between 60 and 90 million injections monthly. For all the talk of the steps we at AMC have taken to bolster our position, the real salvation of our company will be because of vaccination. I know for a fact who the single most important person is in the entire movie business throughout 2020 and 2021. And no studio, nor any movie theater circuit is the employer. His name of the most important person in our business is Albert Bourla, and he is the CEO of Pfizer. He and his talented colleagues, and those of Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, are what have given us our newfound fortitude. I had the privilege of thanking Albert firsthand for the vital role his leadership has played in saving AMC, and those sentiments of thanks were never more deserved. There's more to discuss, but before we do, I'll now turn the call over to Sean Goodman, our CFO, to update you on the fourth quarter and more on the recent actions taken by AMC.
Numbers. All right, so we are up 8.2%. If you look at the bottom of your screen.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I do hope that you and your families have been safe and well during these continued extraordinary times. As Adam mentioned, the fourth quarter was once again severely impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. The sizable number of our theaters that were closed for much of the quarter, plus the limited number of new titles during the quarter, significantly impacted our attendance levels and our financial results. Overall, our domestic attendance in the fourth quarter was 92% below the prior year, and our international attendance was 89% below the prior year's fourth quarter. The very low attendance levels ultimately make the quarter's financial results largely irrelevant. And so on this call today, Adam and I will devote very little time to the fourth quarter results, and we'll talk more about the issues that relate to our future. However, I do want to point out just a couple of encouraging data points from Q4. In our international markets, average ticket price was up more than 13%,
this is really good.
Or 7% in constant
Volume
currency.
looks good.
And food and beverage revenue
great
per
after
patron
release.
increased by more than 16%.
Nice channel forming.
In
Bollinger Band
currency compared
thinned
to
out.
last year.
Then
In the
came up.
domestic market, ticket prices and food and beverage results were similarly encouraging, with average ticket price up slightly and food and beverage revenue per patron up more than 22%. These statistics, which are actually even more impressive when you consider the discounted pricing on library content and food and beverage promotions that we offered during the quarter, were driven by a number of factors, including a higher proportion of evening and weekend shows, strategic ticket and food and beverage pricing adjustments, the success of our new and very popular private theater rental program in the United States. And by the way, we have already hosted
Tastes like chicken tendies.
115,000 of these private theater rentals, a sure sign of consumer enthusiasm for the theatrical experience. And increased usage of our mobile AMC app for both ticket and food and beverage purchases. We used this pandemic period to roll
whoever
out our
tried
mobile
to
food and
post a
beverage
symbol,
capabilities across
type out the name. I don't know why my
domestic theater
Streamlabs
network.
bot said
This
refrain from
industry-leading
spamming
feature
symbols.
of our smartphone app makes
So
it
maybe
easy
just post
and
it
convenient
once, and
to
we'll take a
order
look
food
at
and
it.
beverage items at the same time as one purchases his or her tickets, with these food and beverage items prepared and waiting for our guests, either to collect when arriving at the theater or delivered directly to your seat. So let's talk about AMC more broadly, rather than just looking at quarterly results. As of December 31, 2020, we had $308 million of cash plus $13 million of restricted cash. Our total cash burn for the fourth quarter was $110 million. Now, when we normalize this number for all of the cash raised during the fourth quarter, the monthly cash burn comes out at $124 million per month, which is right in line with our expectations at the beginning of the quarter and our previous guidance. At the end of the fourth quarter, we had deferred rent of approximately $450 million, with repayment terms being on average 27 months, although a number of agreements have repayment periods that extend through the remaining lease term, which in some cases is well in excess of 10 years. A reminder that the rent expense shown on the face of our income statement represents our rent obligation for the quarter. For the fourth quarter, actual cash rent payments were approximately $45 million less than what was shown on the face of the income statement. While future cash rent payments will continue to depend on our ongoing discussions with landlords, we anticipate cash rent paid in Q1 of 2021 will be higher than in Q4, while still being well below the income statement rent liability. Before moving off the topic of rent, it is worth noting that during 2020, we quietly and without fanfare permanently closed 60 lower performing theaters, 48 domestic theaters, and 12 international theaters. These theaters were mostly money-losing theaters historically, so AMC EBITDA actually will increase because of their closure. This is part of our plan to improve the sustainable profitability of our theater portfolio.
No idea how critical that is, what he just said.
Shifting over to capital expenditures.
Closed 60 unprofitable theaters. Who did that? Cinemark is still freaking closed.
Minimum maintenance levels. We eliminated all but essential maintenance capex and previously committed growth capex during 2020.
We got freaking dozens of green
During
crayons.
the fourth quarter,
we got the whole freaking box.
Spend was only $6.1 million net of landlord contributions. This is a full $152.5 million lower than the same quarter a year ago. Our net capex for the year, for 2020 year, totaled $130.2 million at the low end of our net capex guidance of between $130 million and $150 million. Net capex for 2021 is expected to be approximately $100 million, and this will be almost entirely maintenance related.
All right.
So let's focus on the actions that we have.
You guys want to see what attendees look like?
Liquidity profile.
All the money I made off AMC the last time.
For success in 2021 and beyond. When we last spoke in early November, I noted that we had sufficient cash on hand
1 ounce
to
coin,
last through only the beginning of
$1,200 an ounce,
assuming no increase in attendance levels.
U.S. Mint.
However, I also noted our intention to raise additional capital to expand our liquidity runway. And from October of 2020
I bought 3 platinum
January
coins.
Of 2021, that is exactly what we did.
And I bought 12. This is only a few of these.
ATM equity offerings have raised approximately $870 million on the issuance of approximately 278 million shares in a little more than 4 months. You should note that $772 million of these proceeds were raised after our third quarter conference call. 2,
this is the last design
$100 million of first lien
of the U.S. Mint
And we
US
did this
silver,
without
reverse
increasing leverage because we
heraldic
swapped $100
image,
million of secondary
printed at the
debt
West Point
for
Mint. They
equity
go to a new
as
design in
part
the
of this
summer.
transaction.
And I bought 12 of those
Third,
as well.
we executed a new
Why?
ODM,
Because I like doing stuff with my
140 million
tendies.
pound and 296 million euro term loan agreement that provided approximately $411 million of incremental
Oh, wait, I
liquidity.
got one better. Hold on.
This is after paying down our European revolving line of credit. And fourth, we also saw the deleveraging effect of $600
Y'all think I'm fucking
in
around, right?
convertible notes that were swapped out
No, I don't own
of
any
interest-bearing debt
Dogecoin.
and into equity at a conversion price of $13.51 per share.
I own Ethereum.
Importantly, as of February 28th, thanks to the actions that we
Anybody
have
want to buy
taken
my
above,
Bitcoin?
we had a little more than $1.1 billion of
That's
cash
for fun.
on hand. We believe that this cash
Tendies.
puts us in a very strong position to
Want
weather
tendies?
continued COVID-related disruptions to our business until attendance returns to more normal levels. However, we are not resting on past accomplishments, and we will continue to actively explore alternatives
What do tendies
to
look
raise
like?
additional capital and reduce our leverage. Finally, before handing the call back over to Adam, there has been a lot of interest in the number of AMC shares that are currently outstanding. The total outstanding share count as of March 3rd, 2021 is 450.2 million shares. As we move forward from 2020, we are doing so with renewed confidence that AMC and our industry has turned a corner. And
Okay,
with that,
these are fake.
I will pass the call back over to Adam.
You can
Adam.
buy these online.
Sean.
Fucking hilarious, though, right? So
For
the two
past
fake
12
things.
months, our overarching
The
focus
Bitcoin is fake. You
been
cannot physically
raising
hold a
capital
Bitcoin.
to ensure
This is
our
movie
survival
money. I'll show you
during
what
this
it looks
dreadful
like
pandemic.
on here before y'all
As
think I'm
Sean just
stupid and
described,
crazy.
we did just that,
No, I do not
meaningfully
keep
extending our
cash
financial
like that
runway.
in a house.
At this point, with any semblance of even a partial recovery
Silver
of
and
movie
platinum
theater
are real.
revenues beginning this
So
summer,
you can buy this stuff.
we have enough cash
And what
to
it
make it all
says,
the way through the
you can
end
see
of
that there,
2021
for motion
and beyond.
picture use only.
However, we are
So
not
anytime
done.
you see those rappers on the movies,
Well,
you see those
understandably,
girls on
we're pleased with the
Instagram or
progress that
OnlyFans.
we've
I don't watch
made.
OnlyFans, but
That
if
does
you
not
did,
in any
or
way
Twitch streams
diminish
and they're
our
showing all this
intense
money,
focus
dude,
on
you can buy this
diligently
shit.
managing our expenses, seeking opportunities to enhance
Freaking
our
hilarious.
profitability,
But the
to
silver and
innovate
platinum
in
is real.
driving the
That stuff is
recapture
real.
of
That stuff I
our
own.
movie-going revenues from moviegoers who will come to our theaters once again, ensuring that we have adequate liquidity,
I had a question
and
here.
managing our balance sheet
That's what GameStop
to
didn't
deleverage.
do quickly enough. I think that's the way.
As I said earlier,
that's why they sacked
2021
the
is already
CFO.
feeling
Yes,
very
that is
different
why.
from 2020. We have more than $1 billion of cash on hand. President Biden has stated that there will be enough vaccines for every adult in the United States by the end of May. And the rate of new COVID-19 cases, associated hospital stays, and morbidity statistics, thankfully, are all declining. Theater openings are happening again. A spate of major movie titles are coming to our theaters again. Blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster. And all that is combined with a massive amount of stimulus money being voted upon in Congress this very week to jumpstart the U.S. economy more broadly. So, with this as a closing thought, I'd ask that you reflect for just a moment about the consumer, the movie-going public. Last week's poll from the National Research Group showed moviegoer confidence growing to its highest level since the late summer of 2020, with consumers feeling far more optimistic than they've been in at least 6 months about returning to cinemas again. At AMC, we also have been conducting our own proprietary research amongst a scientific sample size of some 2,431 AMC Stubs members. You'll recall that Stubs members represent our most avid customers. They make up more than half of our total movie theater ticket sales in the United States. Here is some fascinating information that has not been shared before from that research done just a couple of weeks ago. Our Stubbs members were asked what out-of-home things they most singularly were looking forward to doing post-pandemic. Out of 15 possible choices that we gave them, going to see a movie at a theater was number one on the list, with a score that was 43% more popular than the score for going to a friend's house to socialize, 47% more popular than that of going to a restaurant, 79% more popular than that of going to a concert, 138% more popular than that of going to a sporting event, and 257% more popular than that of going shopping. Now, admittedly, these responses are from moviegoers, so it's no surprise they want to go to see movies. But the important thing for us is that what our customers are telling us is that they desperately want to come back and enjoy moviegoing at our movie theaters again. That is the very definition of pent-up demand, and that is very good news indeed for AMC. Before we open up the call for your questions, I want to touch briefly on three items. One, Silver Lake's conversion of their convertible debt. Two, Wanda's conversion of their Class B common shares to Class A common shares. And three, the so-called Reddit rally. First, on Silver Lake. We've always said that we believe that Silver Lake's convertible debt would be converted and should be treated and thought of like equity. And when our stock price rebounded recently, that is exactly what Silver Lake did. They converted and thereby eliminated $600 million of interest-bearing debt from our books in exchange for about 44 million shares of stock. This represents a conversion price of $13.51 per share and meaningfully reduces our leverage. Silver Lake has been a highly effective and beneficial partner to AMC since their investment in our company in September of 2018. Their guidance and assistance has been incredibly helpful to AMC. While Silver Lake has sold their shares, Silver Lake's personable and truly brilliant Lee Whitlinger still serves on the AMC board of directors, and I hope we can keep Lee on our board for a long time to come. Second is Wanda's conversion of their Class B common stock into Class A common stock. Wanda has been and continues to be our largest shareholder. Wanda's Class B shares came with a super voting feature such that each share carried 3 votes, provided that Wanda's economic ownership of AMC remained above 30% of the outstanding shares. Prior to our ATM programs, this feature made Wanda not only our largest shareholder, but also a controlling shareholder. With the success of our ATM programs, Wanda's ownership was diluted well below that 30% threshold during the fourth quarter. And on December 29, Wanda's Class B shares have thus been converted to Class A shares, each carrying a single vote per share. Wanda owns less than 10% of AMC shares at this point. Wanda still has 2 board seats, and I can genuinely tell you that they have been an absolute delight for me to deal with during the past 5 years that I've led AMC. However, with no controlling shareholder in place, now AMC will be governed just as is most other publicly traded companies with a wide array of shareholders. And finally, a quick comment on the so-called Reddit rally. Our focus has been on managing our business and directing its recovery. And it's really not appropriate to say much more here on this earnings call. It's probably notable to point out that of the more than $2.2 billion of cash that we raised between April of 2020 and now, about 99% of that cash ironically came in before the Reddit rally. But as I look at all those retail investors, I realize and truly take to heart one thing among others: how 101-year-old AMC is a crucial part of the American zeitgeist. Many Americans have a strong affection for AMC. They've been going to our movie theaters for years and years, or for decades and decades. And we intend to get many of these people to very soon be ticket buyers at our AMC theaters once again. With that, operator, we're now ready to open the call up for questions.
At this time, we will be conducting a question and answer session. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you'd like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. Our first question is from Jad Beynon with Macquarie. Please proceed with your question.
And thanks for taking my questions, and thanks for all the prepared remarks. Good to hear you well. Adam, just wanted to start off with a broad one on the theatrical window topic. We've now heard from many of your studio partners, including Universal, Paramount, and Warner. Just wondering how you're thinking about this, from an agreement standpoint, what this means to the business model, and how this could affect getting back to historical EBITDA margins. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad. So this is an area, I actually could have put this in the prepared remarks, but I figured I'd save it for questions. This is an area where I feel very good. Dating back to my first weeks at AMC, we signed on to something called Screening Room. It never took off, but some of you may remember it. That was going to play movies at home earlier than traditional windows. And I think that over the past several years, AMC has indicated in private conversations with every major studio that we are willing to be the most experimental movie theater circuit around with respect to windows strategies that were different than the traditional norm. But we always laid down one marker, and that was if we adjusted windows, it had to be good for AMC shareholders, not bad for AMC shareholders. And when we couldn't strike deals with studios on shorter windows, we resisted them with all of our might. Some of you will recall the letter exchange from April of 2020 with Universal as an example of that. Having said that, after a very brief, given that we were at it for years, after a very brief 90 days of serious discussion, we announced what we thought was a groundbreaking, landmark new agreement with Universal that was good for Universal and good for AMC. It suggested that there were other ways than the hidebound traditional way to release movies that could be done in a way that was beneficial for our studio partners and for AMC as a theater chain. Fast forward to Warner's announcement about HBO Max. We put out a very clear statement that we were not willing to let Warner Brothers advantage its streaming service at AMC shareholders' expense. And you may have noticed that we are playing Warner Brothers movies right now. Now, we never discuss our film terms publicly, and I won't break that pattern today. But you should properly assume that if we're playing Warner movies, we came to agreement with Warner that any changes in their strategy are being done in ways where AMC shareholders benefit as opposed to are being penalized. We are willing to engage with every major studio on the same topic, and I continue to be optimistic that having been business partners with all these studios for a century, we can adjust the business relationships between us and our studio partners such that they can support their streaming services and their theatrical releases and do so not at our expense. So I know that there have been others who aren't necessarily privy to our private conversations who are more anxious about windows than am I. But so far, our dealings with studios where windows policies have changed, we've made changes such that we think we come out ahead and not come out behind.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then, Sean, you noted the reduced CapEx for the year, the guidance of $100 million. How are you guys thinking about the percentage of your theaters now that have been updated? If the renovation return CapEx is still in the cards in the future, or if that is almost complete, and then if new build opportunities come along, how would you think about partnering with landlords to build more, particularly if your liquidity is strong and the business is stable? Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. Our primary focus right now, I think, as we said in our prepared remarks, is A, liquidity, and B, deleveraging. And so you see that reflected in the CapEx guidance for 2021 of $100 million, primarily focused on maintenance CapEx. We're pretty fortunate that over the last few years, we have spent a considerable amount of CapEx renovating and updating our theater fleet. And so the timing is quite good to reduce that CapEx. We're always planning to reduce that CapEx in 2020, and we did reduce it, and we reduced it even more than our original plans just because of the situation with the pandemic. But we believe that our theater portfolio is in good shape. The $100 million is predominantly maintenance related. I would expect in the future, as our liquidity position improves, as our leverage position improves, we will then look to invest more from a growth point of view. But at this point, as I said at the beginning, it's primarily leverage and liquidity. And I'll let Adam talk a little bit about the growth opportunities.
So what we're finding, just literally last week, we opened a new build theater in Denver. And what we're finding is that landlords still find the AMC brand to be very powerful. And opportunities are coming our way constantly to pick up existing theaters or to have new builds in attractive locations. But I would expect that you'll see new builds continue for us, or what we sometimes call spot acquisitions. Having said that, we're in a position where we can be somewhat demanding with respect to the landlords of those theaters. For us to take on a new build theater going forward, the landlord's going to have to take a lot more risk as opposed to AMC taking a lot more risk. So you probably will see a greater capital contribution from landlords rather than from us. You might see percentage rents based on the ebb and flow of theatrical revenues rather than fixed rents. We're solely on the hook for the success of the theater. So I still think they're in our future, but they'll be on much more attractive financial terms to us than the expansion that we might have put in place over the past decade when times were more flush.
Thank you both. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Eric Wold with B. Riley FBR. Please proceed with your question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, guys. Just a couple more questions as well, kind of around kind of cash flow and outlook. Kind of thinking about the current liquidity and kind of the runway you laid out to next year, can you update us on what your underlying box office, domestic and international box office assumptions are to get to that point next year versus kind of maybe what you had in prior filings?
Sure. Hey, Eric, it's Sean. So let's talk a little bit about our cash projections in 2021. When we look at those projections, we necessarily look at them very conservatively. I think that's appropriate when we're managing our liquidity to make sure that we have sufficient liquidity. When we think of 2021, it's going to be an interesting year. The first half, from a conservative point of view, again, the first half, we're expecting cash burn to be somewhere similar to the cash burn that we've seen in the months of January and February. Q3 will be a transition quarter, and then Q4, our expectations is things start to return more to normalized levels. And so in Q4, we expect to be cash flow break even to slightly cash flow positive. Q3, that transition period is probably somewhere around 50 million, let's say, a month cash burn during that Q3 period. If you, when it added up all those quarterly numbers, you would see that based on that expectation, that conservative expectation, we have more than sufficient cash on hand right now to be able to cover that and then what that translates to, answer your question specifically, what that translates to from a box office point of view is a box office that is significantly below 2011 levels, somewhere around, you said 2011. Sorry, not 20, I don't know why 2011. Sorry, significantly below 2019 levels, somewhere close to 50% below 2019 levels. And again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. It's conservative necessarily because I think that's the appropriate way to manage our liquidity.
Perfect. That's helpful. Maybe last question. Sorry to write another finance question. So sorry, Adam. I'll get you another one later. I guess thinking about the 450 million of deferred rent, you mentioned 27 months on average, kind of payback period. Are most of the terms in general that once a theater reopens, you go back to full rent plus a deferred rent kicking in immediately, or are there other requirements that need to be hit in terms of attendance levels or whatnot? And then assuming we get to year end and all theaters are open, we're kind of back to kind of normal environment. Does that bring into fact, kind of pre-pandemic rent levels plus then that kind of, $17 million per month of deferred rent kicking in as well?
Yeah, the way to think about the deferred rent, 450 million of deferred rent, be careful on just assuming that deferred rent is paid back, roughly over the 27-month period, except for the rent that's paid back over a longer period of time. And the reason I say be careful of that assumption, because during 2021, and specifically in the first half of 2021, we will have additional rent concessions. And that will offset, so you will have some of that deferred rent being paid down, but it will be offset by additional rent concessions. As far as the timing of when these paybacks happen, it's a specific date. It's a specific date agreed with the landlords. And that date is something that is discussed and negotiated depending on how attendance levels are going. But think about it as a specific date. A lot of that deferred rent from 2020, the repayment period kicks in at the beginning of January 2021. But then, to go back to what I've said before, there's additional rent concessions that will offset that.
So Eric, if I could just add a comment. There are so many heroes for AMC over the past year. I told you about my deep appreciation to Albert Bourla of Pfizer. We could talk about all the retail investors who bought shares from us in the ATM effort from October through January. But another constituency that has really stood tall was our theater landlord community. And we renegotiated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lease agreements. And our theater landlords wanted us to stay in business, and they wanted to keep us around. And the concessions that they made are very much appreciated, and those talks continue. We continue to have conversations with all of our theater landlords. As wonderful as it is that we raise cash, and as wonderful it is that new movies are coming this summer, we're still burning through cash right now. And we continue to find that our landlords have been flexible and creative, and we are very much appreciative to them.
Perfect. Thank you both, and congrats on getting through this, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Eric Handler with MKM Partners. Please proceed.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for the question. Anthony, you gave us a good update on your cash. Can you give us an update on where your total debt is now at the beginning of March, and what your cash interest expense will most likely look like, either on a per quarter basis or just for all of 21, given that you've got some PIK notes to deal with?
Sure. So to answer your first question, if you look at our total debt, and you'll see our capitalization table on the 10K, which will be published later this week. You look at the total debt at the end of December, and then I'll tell you that as of the end of March, what our pro forma debt is, and it's essentially the same number. So there's a lot of puts and takes, but at the end of the day, essentially that total debt, same number at the end of March as it was at the end of December. This reflects, okay, so what you have, the big transactions that you have, is you have the conversion of the convertible debt. That eliminates $600 million from our debt. However, at the same time, you have the European loan, right? And so that's additional debt. And that's $550 odd million of additional debt. Those are the two big items. The other big items is repayment of the revolving credit facility Odeon. And then the difference, because that won't quite net out, the difference is actually payment in kind, PIK interest on the second lien debt, on the European term loan. There'll be some PIK interest on that, and there's some PIK interest on some of our first lien debt as well. So when you add up all of that, you end up with the same debt number at the end of the day. I think your second question was related to interest costs. So you're looking at cash interest costs in 2021. 2021, there's a significant amount of payment in kind of PIK interest. When you go through a capitalization schedule, you can calculate what the total interest is, but you'll see that the payment in kind interest, it's not a single number because it depends what elections we make with PIK interest, but if we elect all of the PIK interest we're able to do right through 2021, you have around $250 million of PIK interest that you need to net off the interest payments amounts. And the heavy quarters for interest payments are Q4 and Q2. Q1 and Q3 are pretty low interest payments. Q1 and Q3 are about $20 million a quarter. The heavier interest payments are in Q2 and Q4.
And so just following up, so what you're back on the ammo, what should, if you assume your PIK contributions are paid and you elect the PIK option, what is your average, or what should be your cash interest payments for the year?
For 2021, the cash interest payments, assuming that PIK number that I gave you, the cash interest payments will be around $165 odd million.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our next question is from Jason Bazinet with Citi. Please proceed with your question.
I just had two quick questions. Without getting in the specifics of your agreements with the studios, can you just talk about the buckets that we should think about when you come out ahead versus behind as the studios sort of rejigger their release or their windows? And then my second question is, if we end up in a world where, and you may disagree with the premise, but if we end up in a world where there are fewer patrons at the end of the day going to AMC just because maybe some of the smaller movies go on these direct-to-consumer apps, do you think that there's scope to sort of reposition the theater experience as a premium experience and take higher ticket pricing to offset what may be potentially lower attendance? And I'm not talking 2021 or something like that. Just if you think sort of longer term to sort of the new run rate. Thanks.
So the first question, we really don't talk about our theater deals, so I'm going to duck it respectfully.
Okay.
But where you'll see it is, in film rents. I mean, that is the business relationship between movie theater chain and studios. So if we're going to get concessions back, that's where you likely see it. And your second question has so many assumptions built into it that I don't want to accept. Okay. Doesn't mean you're wrong, but you're not right yet, which is to say that go back to 2019. The industry sold 1 billion movie theater tickets in the United States. 1 billion. It's the third most popular it's the second most popular out-of-home experience in the United States, other than going out to eat a meal at a restaurant. If you take the attendance of all 5 major professional sports leagues together, all 150-ish teams, all sports, all games, all season long, movie theaters sold 7 times the quantity of every sports event ticket sold in the United States in 2019. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we do not want to be cooped up in our homes or in our apartments, no matter how nice they are, forever and ever. People want to go back to theaters. And we are, even with changing window strategies, we are quite confident that you're going to see massive amounts of demand heading to movie theaters. You'll recall people have been predicting the demise of the movie theater business for a century. Radio was going to put us out of business, and TV was going to put us out of business, and VCRs were going to put us out of business, and now streaming is going to put us out of business. Except, guess what? Oh, guess what? Other than the pandemic, movie theaters have thrived this whole time. I am highly confident that we will make whatever adjustments we need to make to accommodate whatever change in the industry structure there is. If streaming's on the rise, then something will change. Maybe film rents will come down. Maybe prices will go up. We'll see. But don't just assume that people aren't going to theaters. Because I think we're going to find out post-pandemic that people are going to go to theaters and they're going to be really happy that they got out of their homes to do so.
Perfect. Thank you.
Our next question is from Alan Gould with Loop Capital. Please proceed with your question.
Hi. Thank you for taking the question. I've got a few. First, Adam, how long do you think it will take, or can you get back to the adjusted EBITDA levels that you had in 2019, given that you have fewer screens and that there will be a shorter theatrical windows?
So I'm going to answer you this way. Fewer screens does not decrease EBITDA. It increases EBITDA because the screens that we were closing had negative EBITDA. So that's kind of point one. On your other question, I know that John reads that forward-looking statement disclosure, but it's such a forward-looking disclosure, I don't think it's appropriate for me to make a crystal ball projection. You've heard me on this call talk proudly of everything that AMC has done to get our way through this extraordinary challenge that was thrown our way. And I'm quite optimistic and bullish about the prospects of moviegoers coming back to our theaters. But I don't think that it's right for us to start predicting what year we're going to see what level of EBITDA. That's your job, and you all will make your estimates, and we'll try to beat them.
Okay, let me follow that up with a few others. There haven't been any ATMs or shares offered since the end of January. Was that simply because you needed to have more shares authorized to do that? Because Sean did mention the intention is now to raise additional capital.
Well, he didn't say that we would raise additional capital. He said that we will carefully examine the raising of additional capital in whatever form we think is most attractive. having brought in $1,222 between December 14 and January 20-something, 22nd, I think it was, we thought, and with $1 billion of cash in the bank, we thought it was appropriate to take a bit of a breather. But we are now very carefully looking at what are the smartest ways for us to raise capital. There are a lot of vehicles that we can use to get there. And we're also balancing how we can achieve the goal of deleveraging the company. You know, we are thrilled that in July of 2020, we got rid of $555 million of debt through a very complex negotiation with our second lien holders. We're thrilled that in January we got rid of $600 million of debt when Silver Lake converted their notes into equity. So, you know, it's something that we'll look at very hard, but, you know, it's just a simple fact that, yes, we took 5 weeks away from capital raising, given what we put in the bank in the last couple of months.
Okay. And what do you see happening industry-wide? Do you see screens closing? Do you see, frankly, opportunities for M&A now that you've got a more attractive currency?
I think you're overstating that, not you, but I think people are overstating that streaming is somehow going to cause screen closures. But I do think, given what our industry has lived through this past year, our eagerness to continue to operate money-losing theaters is at a very low point of desirability. And so I think we'll be much tougher. And when I say we, I don't mean AMC, I mean the whole industry. I think people are going to be much tougher in evaluating the risk that they're taking and the degree to which they are willing to lease and operate marginal theaters. Is there M&A activity? I guess we'll all find out together.
Okay. And my last question, now that you have over $1 billion of cash on your balance sheet, does that change your landlord negotiations?
Yeah, it makes it harder. We're not quite as desperate as we were in June of 2020. But we're a creative bunch here at AMC, and we're continuing to have really interesting conversations with the landlord community. There are things that we can put on the table. There are things that we can do. And, you know, on this call, we focused on some of our theaters that were marginally profitable or unprofitable. We have a lot of theaters in normal times that are very profitable. So again, landlord by landlord, lease by lease, theater by theater, the discussions are always interesting, and there's plenty of opportunity for us going forward.
Okay. Thank you for taking the questions.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for one final question. Our final question comes from Jim Ghost with Barrington Research. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks. One small one, wrapping up the Windows idea. Do you think, given the variety of types of windows that have emerged, do you think there will be any standardization or range of standardized options that will develop between the studios and the exhibitors, or will it be just on a one-by-one basis as time goes on?
That's a very good question, Jim, and hello, by the way. And I don't think there's going to be a cookie-cutter approach. I don't, you know, everybody understood, like, there was one window. That's what it's been for years and years and years. I think what we're going to see, what we've learned, especially since the Universal agreement, is every studio seems to have different desires and needs. And so I'm expecting that you're going to see custom agreements that will be developed studio by studio that may differ, and they're probably going to differ circuit by circuit.
Okay. And over the past year...
But if I could just add one more point, Jim, if I could add one more point to the answer. But as I've been saying literally for 5 years, and as we said with our Universal discussions, as we said with our Warner discussions, we can only sign on to something if it's good for our company and good for our shareholders. So you should assume that, like, one of the advantages of being the largest exhibitor in the world is that we have a legitimate seat at the table to have discussions with our studios. And we don't go there stuck in 1955 and saying, oh, it's got to be the way it used to be. We're willing to be innovative and imaginative and creative and look for solutions. And I am highly confident that we will continue to find those solutions. We have been partners with these studios for decades and decades and decades and decades more. And clearly we need them to exist, but I believe that they need us too. 2019, there was $43 billion of ticket sales generated in movie theaters globally. The Hollywood share of that, is a huge number. And I don't think it's in their interest to just throw that good money away. So I continue to be confident that working as business partners who've been doing this a long time with each other, I'm highly confident we'll find good solutions that work for our studios and for us. There might be a little jawing in public, there might be a little jawing in private, but when you get to the final end solution, I think it'll be good for both entities.
Okay, and I thank you very much. And my last thing, we've talked over the past year, all of the exhibitors, about things that might persist post-COVID. Now that we're getting to a point where this might actually be coming to some sort of conclusion, or at least transition, what do you think will persist in terms of staffing levels, seat blocking, private showings, cleaning protocols, and maybe even food and beverage 2.0 as you have a chance to go back from popcorn and soft drinks again to maybe broader menu items?
Thanks, Jim. So there's a whole lot in that question, right? Certainly private theater rentals is here to stay. That's been immensely popular. As Sean said, we did 115,000 of them already, and I'm expecting that will continue. AMC has long prided itself on our imaginative food and beverage efforts. I'm sure as patronage builds up in our theaters, we will go back to more varied and imaginative menus. Another thing that I think you can assume going forward, there will be more automation in the movie theater industry as wages rise. So, for example, we used this pandemic period to build mobile food and beverage ordering into our smartphone app, and that's gotten a lot of traction with our guests, which cuts out a lot of time at the concession stand, which is good for our guests and good for us. So those are three things. But on a fourth thing that's going to continue is we're going to have to figure out ways, and I have expressed over and over that I'm confident we can. We're going to have to figure out how to work with our studio partners such that we can support their theatrical business and their streaming business. and I believe that we can do so. And lastly, I saved the biggest for last. This is something that our operations department shudders about when I say it. But I'm just going to tell everybody here and now, the days of dirty movie theaters are over. After what the public has been through over the last year, cleanliness and sanitization is going to be an extremely important factor for guests, even in a post-pandemic world. And we intend to run our theaters spotlessly going forward. And woe be it to any of our competitors who does not match us stride for stride.
That will go over well, I think. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have reached the end of the question and answer session, and I will now turn the call back over to management for closing remarks.
Thank you, operator. Thanks for everybody on the call. Since our last quarterly call, AMC raised $1,222 million of cash. We got rid of $600 million of debt. Our theaters are reopening. Big movie titles are coming. Ladies and gentlemen, see you at the movies. Thanks for joining us today.
This concludes today's conference, and you may disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation and have a great evening.
This would be a mic drop. Hey, listen, I know 28 of y'all are still in here on Twitch, and there's some over there on YouTube. Hey, listen, thank you very, very much for coming into the stream. I stream every day. I stream from a half an hour before market opens for about 2.5 hours. And then as the hedgies and the idiots in New York go to lunch, I take a break. I do some other things. And then I stream for Power Hour. So I stream for Power Hour. Power Hour, as you know, is the last hour before the markets close. And I'll do that between 11:30 and 12 or between 2:30 and 3 Eastern time. Again, I'm West Coast. So there you go. So listen, I think that was a great earnings call. A couple surprises in there. Theaters are opening. If you look on a screen, again, you can see Newsom the moron says that LA and Orange County theaters can reopen and theme parks this weekend. Let's see if he put a limit on there as far as how many can be in there. If it's met by Friday, okay, if it's met by Friday, if the goal's met by Friday for LA County, but there you go, LA and Orange counties. So that's certainly good news as well. And Newsom said on Friday that it will meet its threshold of administering 2 million COVID vaccine doses in low-income, hard-hit communities. I don't qualify for one, so I don't get one. All right, so I'm going to close some of this stuff out. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail tomorrow morning into the owners and the institutional buys on AMC. Let's see here. Webinar is concluded. We know that. Heat map, I can get rid of that. I can bring this guy back over to, let's do the futures. All right, so on the bottom of the screen right now, this is the S&P CME Mini S&P 500 futures. And so those are up right now. We can take a look at the NASDAQ futures are up right now, 39 points, and the Dow Jones futures are up. So probably more S&P. Let me put it over here on there. So that'll just be the S&P futures in the bottom pane running down there. What I have up here is usually if I'm doing a buy or something, I'll have 3 charts up here. The main ones that I look at. Whoops, I don't need to do that. All I need to do is come down here and open this up. And typically I have a 3-minute chart, I have a 5-minute chart, and I have a daily chart. And I use different things to confirm whether I'm buying or selling something. This is just one of the ways that I create income. There's 4 different ways that there's actually 6 different ways I create income. The 4 main ones are real estate, precious metals. I buy some precious metals, stocks, and then mining income from cryptocurrency. I've been mining since 2017, And so I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. However, my segment, this is something most of you don't know. And if you look at this, two numbers. Year to date, Bitcoin is up 94%. Year over year, Bitcoin is up 519%. Look at the 519 over the last 12 months. Ethereum, if you don't know what Ethereum is, maybe I'll do a video explaining that. It's another cryptocurrency coin. Ethereum is up 146% year to date versus Bitcoin only 94. Ethereum is up 703% versus Bitcoin being up only 520%. So my holdings are 85% Ethereum to 15% Bitcoin. And I just think there's a brighter future as far as price appreciation in Ethereum. But let's get back into the meme stocks. Again, GME is up just pennies, $1.68 in the aftermarket. So, a key figure for them is going to be the 250 level, but really the 300 level for them for Friday expiration. But none of that is as important as next Friday's expirations. So today on AMC, we closed down 65 cents, 985. If you look at where we were on the high of the day, from the top candle at 1247 to the low candle of 951, the stock dropped about 24%. But hopefully there were two levels. There were two levels here, and not even here. It was about here. I want to say it might have been on this candle. On this candle, I went out and I bought 5 more AMC contracts set to expire April 16th at the $8 strike price. So 5 contracts, $8 strike out to April 16th. I paid a premium for those. I paid $3.30 for each of those contracts per share, by the way. I then came back in here towards the end of the day and picked up 10 more contracts, same strike price, $8 strike price, in the money call options. That's just where I like to play, folks. You can look at those either way. But so now and those I picked up at 325. So 325 and 330 call options, $8 strike price, expiration April 16th. I also hold 30 AMC call options, expiration 319 at the $4 strike price. So where I can show you those over here, if I go into my my options chains, and if I look at the 319s, there's 3 days. Look at the March 19th calls, and we'll go the in the money. Show me all the strikes. Oops, hey, where are we at? Give it a second to catch up. Okay, right here, this P means that I own it. Okay, so I own the $4 strikes on March 19th at $4, and so those are in the money pretty good. But overall, I think what's going to happen, in terms of, I got family and stuff like that, and ask me, hey, what's going to happen? I got friends that, hey, what's going to happen? What's going on with AMC? Why are you in AMC versus GameStop? I didn't buy one single share of GameStop. I did not buy one single option of GameStop. If you like GameStop, good for you. It doesn't meet my risk profile. I also did not do enough due diligence or DD on GameStop to meet my risk profile to buy into the shares. Here's why. This is why. Because my risk profile does not tell me that I want to incur in 30 minutes. This is 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 3 is 18. I don't want to incur a 20-minute drop in price of 54% and hope that I'm on the right side of that trade. So what I do is, when I go into a stock, and if I buy option, I own I own a good amount of Ford stock. I own a good amount of U.S. oil. I own some NVIDIA call options, and then a couple of biopharmas as well. But this is why I don't buy GME. Now, if you picked up GME down here, let's say the buy signal had it here, barely. If you got extremely lucky, you could have made 36% on the way up. Okay, so that's a possibility. I like AMC. So let's talk about AMC, what they're going to do. Okay, so we beat revenue. We beat earnings estimates by 2 cents. That's big. Or I'm sorry, not beat. We missed earnings estimates by 2 cents. That's big, but it's big to the plus side. Also, the loss in revenue was not as great at what Wall Street expected. So again, the revenue was not as great a loss as Wall Street expected. The CEO on the call, a couple of hard points that I wrote down as notes. They closed 60 unprofitable theaters. This is the largest theater owner in the United States. They co-partnered with both Harvard and Pfizer on the cleaning techniques for their theaters. He said it. He said it a lot better than I could have said it. What was his quote? The days of dirty movies are over. Aaron. Boom. Mic drop. The days of dirty movie theaters are open. Some of the things that they have freestyle beverages now. You can go in there. You don't have to touch another employee. You can certainly get the AMC app on your phone, buy your tickets on the phone, scan it at the theater, and you're off to the races. What's going to be huge, and he didn't mention this. He mentioned this I watched his speech on last Friday on CNBC. I've actually watched that probably 4 or 5 times because I wanted to get the gist of the context. I also wanted to see what he was doing as he was talking. Was he doing any of this? Was he stuttering on any of his words? Was he worried about anything? He said a couple of key points that I thought were big. New York was opening last weekend. That's big. He said on today's call he didn't expect California to open up for a couple weeks. And what did we get? We just got a Christmas present, folks. We just got a Christmas present in terms of hey, why is this chart? Hold on a second. Bear with me. Let me leave this one. And let me minimize this one back down and close this out. Oh, all this earnings stuff. I love chewing on this stuff. Where is... Oh, I dragged it down here. My apologies. Let me get back up. Okay. And let me go over to my triple chart. Oops. Where you at? I have too many things open. Okay. All right. A couple of key things that he said. And thanks for hanging out with me too. He said that between Memorial Day and July 4th, there are going to be a boatload of new movies being released. And he said it himself. What movie did he say he's waiting on? Anybody remember? If you listen to the call, you did. What was the movie? Tell me in the chat. What movie is the CEO of AMC waiting for to watch himself? Okay. Top Gun 2, baby. Top Gun 2. One of my fill lights just went out. Top Gun 2. So he's waiting for Top Gun 2 to come out. And let me plug this light back in. Boom, there we go. He's waiting for Top Gun 2 to come back out. And when Top Gun 2 comes out, that's going to be guys that look like me. Oh, by the way, none of you apes get to call me a boomer. I was born in 1 year. I missed boomer. Apparently, I'm a Gen Xer. But he's waiting for Top Gun 2. You're also going to have Black Widow coming out. You're going to have other movies that have been delayed over the last year. And these things are going to come boom, boom, boom every single week. Think about this for a moment. If you were a studio and you're sitting on all these films that haven't been released over the last year, are you going to let something like Black Widow come out and then wait a month for your other release? Heck no, you're going to stack them every single weekend. We're going to have a blockbuster between Memorial Day and July 4th. And he didn't extend that out to Labor Day. He just said Memorial Day to July 4th. He talked about New York opening. Their 2 largest markets. They have 13 different theaters in New York. Every one of them opened last weekend. He said basically on the call, I think it was on Fox Business News, I want to say Monday. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but he basically said that every one of those theaters in New York was sold out. Now, 25% capacity. So with a caveat, right? With a caveat. But here's the thing. Think about this in your job. If you've ever worked any type of restaurant or retail or anything like that, and you know when the hours are good. By the way, we're still up 81 cents to 8.2%. We're at 1065 right now in the aftermarket. If you are, and the S&P 500 is still holding, and they're up 23 points. When things were slow, what did you do? You didn't bring in all your employees. So these theaters are opening. They don't have all their employees back. Why do you think they're going to have all this cash to last them through next year? Because as demand rises, they're going to bring in more employees. And a lot of those employees that have been unemployed outside of management, a lot of management was unemployed as well. But a lot of those folks either moved on to some other job if they're teenagers or you know, early 20s. If they're going to, you know, they're going to bring the employees back as the demand rises. They know what they're doing. Listen to what he said on that call. It was amazing. Echo Charlie 78, it said, apparently you sent too long of a message. I'll see if I can adjust the messages in the stream for tomorrow morning. But some other guy posted some spam in here. Hey, you know what? Don't spam my stream. Be nice. I'm nice. I'm sharing good information. But if you want to tune in tomorrow morning, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail tomorrow morning on some of the Fintel stuff, some of the institutional buyers and sellers of AMC and what they've done as far as the put the calls, when they've bought, when they've sold, what they've done. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit more tomorrow morning as well. But listen, we're sitting up 7.8%. I think that call could not have gone any better than what it would. Okay, so Echo Charlie 78 says in the chat, didn't he mention lowering staffing and moving toward automation? I don't know. I could have been eating crayons at that point. Actually, mine are markers, my Crayolas. But he may have said that, but it makes sense. Think of, if you look at this logically, and you're the CEO of AMC, and basically looking at automation, if you go into a fast food restaurant now, and this is where I saw this coming. I saw this coming a few years ago in the airport, and the McDonald's I used to hit because I used to love I still love Southwest, love great stock, outperformed already back to pre-COVID levels. But if you, two questions here. So he says, didn't he mention lowering staffing and moving toward automation? Simple common sense, yes. They're going to lower their staffing as demand increases. They'll delay bringing in additional people. But the freestyle machines, the seats are spread out further apart. They remodeled dozens of theaters, folks. I don't have the number. I'll see if I can find the number. But they remodeled a bunch of theaters. They closed 60 theaters they closed that were unprofitable during the last year. They remodeled a boatload of other ones, okay? And moving toward automation, yes, if an employee behind the counter no longer has to give you a beverage and they only have to hand you a cup, how much time does that save? Oh, here's your drink versus here's your cup. You're done. Here's your cup. Get out of here. Next. Okay, that saves money. Automation is going to be the difference. But they're going to end up hiring more people. They have so many people that were laid off and let go or chose to go somewhere else that they have no choice but to bring these employees back. They have people right now after this news item. Where is it, by the way? I closed it. But they have Newsom. I had it on the stream earlier. Newsom said they're going to open L.A. and Orange County theaters this weekend. That's huge. The two biggest markets. New York's already open. L.A. might open this weekend. He was saying, the CEO, Aaron, he was saying, hey, we think that they might open up the weekend of the 19th or 20th. My guess on L.A. theaters, my own projection was the 2nd and 3rd. This is nothing but good news. Second comment, Echo Charlie 78 says regarding how they will keep up with the sanitization in regards to staffing. A lot of that is that the same people that were walking around the theater afterwards, they're going to keep it up. But what they're going to do is here's my promise to you. I've not seen a movie yet, but this is my promise. I'll bet everybody one U.S. silver coin right now, okay? And I'll pay it out in the chat. I'll bet you one U.S. mint silver 2021 silver dollar that if you go to an AMC movie, they will have a pre-fill before the movie starts on sanitization, cleaning, here's a caveat, and how you can help. I'll bet anybody in the stream right now, okay? They will have something that says, hey, you need to do your part. AMC is smart. They're going to throw peer pressure onto you, the moviegoer, to be responsible, pick up your trash so somebody else doesn't have to do it for you. But the most important thing he said, and I'll read it again. Let me go up. Let me find it. Here he goes. Here's the quote of the day. Maybe not the quote of the day. He said he laid them out, man. He laid out those quotes one after the other, and hopefully he'll be on CNBC tomorrow. We'll see if he's on there. But here was his quote: "The days of dirty movie theaters are over. The days of dirty movie theaters are over." Okay, and so what did we get out of that? We got a pop right at this range or so. So we're 1058. I don't know who the idiot was in after hours, but if one of you apes made a mistake, if you're entering orders after hour, please use a limit. Don't buy at market, and check your price before you hit the go button. I have review on my orders turned off, but I have sticky notes. I put sticky notes around everywhere to remind me of things, not only while I stream, but also if I'm placing an order. Earlier in the stream, way back, if you scroll this and you're watching a replay on it, I did do some live trades there. I made 3 trades today. I bought Rocket. I bought 750 shares of Rocket on the 5th to catch a $1.11 dividend. I held it through the record date yesterday to sell it either possibly today, but I sold my profits I took from that. I made, I think, right around $500 on that. And then I will make $832.50. That's $1.11 times 750 shares. I'll make $832.50. Will get paid out to me on the 23rd. I took every one of those dollars and I basically bought 15 more calls of AMC, expiration April 16th. And then I hold 30 calls at $4, expiration next Friday on the 19th. I'm actually looking to roll those options into a later date. I don't know if I want the shares or if I'm going to roll those into a later date. But nice pop in the aftermarket, up 7.21%. So sanitization, they're going to use peer pressure, Echo Charlie. Hey, great question, by the way. Appreciate you asking it. I think they're going to use peer pressure. They're going to lambast you with cleaning and everything. They're going to use signage. I'm going to try and go see a movie this weekend. They're going to use signage. They're going to use pre-fills. They're going to use B-roll type stuff to remind you to pick up your trash. They're going to have employees. They're not going to try and touch you. They have freestyle beverages, I think, in probably the majority of their theaters, I would guess at this point. But they took that year they were closed. And Cinemark I don't even think Cinemark is opened yet. Are they even open? I think they're still closed. Maybe somebody could tell me, but I believe that Cinemark, where was the story? This is from March 5th. It feels amazing. Blah, 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 blah. Where was the quote? Said it reopened all 13 of its theaters. It may not have been this one. But rival Cinemark did not immediately respond to a request for comment. You think you have a theater chain and you want people to come back to the theater. New York opens up and you're going to tell Reuters, Thomson Reuters, you have no comment on theaters opening up. Bye-bye, Cinemark. It's been fun, but this is why AMC is the largest share, is the largest one. So what is Cinemark doing in the after hours? Look at this. This is they're up 0.14 or 0.41%. They're up 10 cents in the aftermarket. What are we up? 7.5%. You have a CEO that is not afraid to go on TV and talk about the positive sign of a stock. You have a CEO that is not afraid to go out there and not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Okay? So that's the bit that made a big difference for me, and hopefully that statement hits the mainstream media like a megaphone. Again, I'll search for some quotes for tomorrow morning and see if we have that, and see that we have it coming up. Running downtown in real life, you can always let customers contribute to sanitation like Walmart. Again, they're going to be big on that, I believe, as well. You hit it right. You hit the nail on the head. All right, so any other quick questions here? We're coming up on 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 out on the East Coast. I am going to drop back into the Reddit chat. So if you want to ask me a question in there or something, feel free to call me out, use my name. Again, I'm going to be back. If you haven't hit the follow button or the subscribe button and hit the notification bell on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, please hit the follow button. I'm not asking for you to subscribe or anything like that. I don't have any of that crap set up. I want to help people learn and educate. This is one of the ones I like. And with that, I believe that it. So anybody else have any other questions before we sign off? We're up 7.2% in the aftermarket. I am going to go back over into the Reddit chat. So thank you all again. Listen, you guys tug at my freaking A part and my bananas. So I'll have bananas on the stream tomorrow morning, by the way. Please forgive me. They'll be with yogurt. That's just what I do, yogurt, bananas. So thank you very much for coming in. What could happen tomorrow? Dennis gets too. What could happen tomorrow? Well, it depends. It depends on how this is perceived. If the CEO gets on the talk shows tomorrow, Fox Business News, if he gets on YouTube, if he gets on CNBC and he combats what that idiot moron from who's he with? Light Crap Partners or whatever came on and said, I think AMC, I have a price target of a penny on it. Dude, you have no clue. Can't wait to go back to the theaters. And I don't care. They raised their average price only went up in the earnings report. You can see the K1 on the Edgar. It only went up by 15 cents a ticket. They're going to get you on the popcorn and the candy. Promise you. But they got freestyle. If they got freestyle and flavored popcorn salt, I'm all in. All right, I'll be back a half hour before the market opens tomorrow morning, so that it will be 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 a.m. Pacific. I'll be on, and we'll be there. So listen, thanks again. Love you all. Tugging at my heart. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and thanks again. I'm out. Peace.